Have a good day, buddy.
Another day all alone again. No one around, I could use a friend. It's the same old thing each and every day. I don't know how much longer I can live this way. Staring out the windows while the world goes by. Everything is out there but I'm trapped inside. But just when I don't think that I can take anymore, I remember what it is that I keep living for. I can lick my balls, yeah, I can lick my balls. I'm capable of licking these balls of mine, and as long as I can do it, life will be just fine. I can lick my balls, yeah, I can lick my balls. No matter how bad my day might be, all I have to do is go down on me. I can lick my balls, yeah, I can lick.
Episode of the Rolling 20s. We are the show that's been intercepted more times than Russell Wilson. I am Jeremy.
Steve. Jesse.
And doesn't get the joke.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MS-free library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on iTunes and on Stitcher. You can follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. The theme music you heard for the show is by Machinae Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free download at machinaesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The very confusing clip you heard at the beginning of the show was I Can Lick My Balls by Mike Polk. He decided to put together a video about what his cat does while he's out. You can find his YouTube channel on youtube.com. How are you guys doing today? It's been a while.
Yeah.
Getting used to the silence, enjoying the silence?
A bit. Catch up on a few things. I actually watched
in your ear once a week.
Justice League Throne of Atlantis animated thing.
How was that? They've been really touting that online and in promos.
Having read the actual arc myself and looking at it, I felt like they added too many things that didn't amount to anything, and just took the bullet points of the actual story.
Isn't that what you kind of want, though? If you're going to put together an animated, you don't want it to be exactly like what people read. You want to throw some stuff in there to surprise them.
Well, the thing is, they took the bullet points, but there was no context between it.
Oh, okay. All right, I get what you're saying now. All right. Steve, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Man, it was really interesting cutting together the show we did at Anime Los Angeles. I couldn't stop laughing, even as I'm trying to edit it. It was a funny show. I couldn't help it. V, how are you? How was the week without us? 2 weeks, actually.
Oh, interesting. I acquired a new job, which was somewhat unexpected.
Yay!
Yay!
And there was much rejoicing.
Indeed.
It's been busy around here. I found out that the Anime Los Angeles exit meeting is on the 31st. So, got to decide what I'm going to do about that. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet. Ordered a DVD, cleaned up some more. My Poison Ivy statue finally came in.
Saw that. It's freaking huge.
Yeah.
It is. It's titanic. I'm just staring at this thing on my desk, and I looked at the picture again. I'm like, wait, is that much taller than the graphic novels I've stacked up to an obscene degree on my desk? That's stupid. But, I'm glad to have it and everything, but it's easily the biggest one of these things I've gotten.
And that thing looks like it's bigger than the third-party Devastator I have.
Well, it's definitely bigger than my ego.
Ego's pretty damn big.
You should display it in your garden like one of those Roman statues.
That's great. The high schoolers that hang out outside my house will probably just buy a garden gnome and make it hump it or something. This week we're going to discuss the Joker hardcover from 2008. Before we do that, we'll get into our news of the week because we have no Kickstarters at all to discuss, believe it or not.
Cool.
Not one. How's that for odd?
Cool, we saved 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, there is one thing I want to bring up. This news just came out today, and it's a little sad. There is a singer named, she's known as Origa. Her birth name is Olga Yakoveva.
Mm-hmm.
Olga Yakoveva. She passed away on Saturday due to lung cancer at 44.
Son.
The reason why I bring this up is because she made a major debut in Japan for EMI. She performed on the theme songs for Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Second Gig, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Solid State Society, Fantastic Children, and Princess Arete.
Damn.
So, it's one of those things where she was honestly big in Japan, and she just passed away.
Man.
She is actually at last year's Anime Revolution as a guest in August. So it's too bad to hear about her.
Mm.
But we will soldier on here. We'll go through video game news first. These amiibo things, they're starting to take over the goddamn planet. Have you seen how prolific these things are lately?
No, not really.
They're out there in the same racks as like Disney Infinity and frickin' the Skylanders, all that shite.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's driving me insane. Well, you can actually use your amiibos with a Japanese game, One Piece Super Grand Battle.
Huh.
If you use your amiibos, the character in them will take on like costumes based on the amiibo you swipe. Nami is dressed up like the Wii Fit lady. Mario is dressed, or I should say Yuffie is dressed up as Mario, complete with a freaky mask and everything. This is not high on my list of things I have to do. It's really bizarre to look at. There's some character with a gigantic goatee and this huge smile. He's wearing a full skin Donkey Kong costume, like he just skinned the ape and put it on. I would not do this. I just would not.
Play that or skin Donkey Kong?
Either. I can't skin my cousin, that'd be rude. And the prices on the rare ones are really starting to go up. The ones that are in limited release, like the kid from, I think it was Monster Rancher, Marth, and the Wii Fit lady, they retail for $13. They're going on eBay for about $100 now.
Yeah.
I mean, frick. People are really looking for these things. And they just announced Wave 4 of the Amiibos. They're coming out in April of 2015. It's a brand new Marth figure, Charizard, Pac-Man, Wario, and a couple other characters I'm not familiar with. I think one of them's from Smash Brothers. It's taken on a life of its own.
Yeah. Yeah, I know my nephew was really disappointed because he was going to get... there was one that he really wanted, and he saw it, and he was like, "Oh, I'll come back tomorrow." And he went back tomorrow, and it was gone.
And it's still of course. I'm just not that into it. My kids play Disney Infinity, and it irritates me how much of those things need to be bought to get a full game out of it.
Oh. Yeah, it seems to be the successful way to do a business video game.
Right, but
nowadays.
there's a
All the
line between
transactions.
Right, but there's a line between having a full game you can play without buying anything and having more of a game to play with buying stuff.
Right.
Well, arguably that's the success of, I don't know about Skylanders, but Disney Infinity in itself, because it has a tremendous sandbox capability in it. You can create all these weird places just for you to play, and then you can share them online, download other people's stuff. It's rather imaginative if kids have the patience for it. I don't know how many kids are playing it versus adults or anything, but it's working for them. There is a graphic designer named Vagu Amka. I would like him to trick out my consoles. He decided to take a Super Nintendo, and he stylized it in the form of Castlevania. I sent you guys an image to check out. Yeah, I would pay this guy to do this kind of stuff to my Xbox.
Sweet.
That's awesome. I want it.
I know, isn't it? It's incredible to look at.
I want to get into case mods, but not enough to actually get into case mods.
I want to do this, I just don't want to do it. That's about what that comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, it would cost too much to get him to do anything, but I'm very impressed. Have you guys ever heard of something in Halo called weapon launching?
No.
Maybe, sort of.
I was was not familiar of this particular trick, but it has turned into an achievement in Halo 5.
Really?
It's something you can actually purposefully do. You want to take a look at this?
Sure.
It's a YouTube. There it is. I played Halo for years. I was not familiar with Halo, or with weapon launching, per se.
Oh, I still remember the original Halo where they just... That was all they did, when you first saw your... Instead of game fails, it was, testing out the physics.
Well, take a look at this. This is an incredible trick. You see the guy jumping around, he throws a plasma grenade, and he brings a sniper rifle to him. It's a strange trick, isn't it?
Sweet.
This used to be just a special trick known to some Halo players, but now it's an actual achievement in-game. You can try to do this for medals.
And it literally says Combat Evolved, which is where it all started.
Nice.
Well, it's where the game started. Apparently, weapon launching started in Halo 4.
Really?
Yeah. There's a guy getting a sword. It's a strange trick, and I look forward to trying it, and I also am going to hate how frustrated I am by people pulling it off.
Yeah, if I play this game, that's probably going to be like a thing I do or try to do.
Yeah.
I've never been big on Halo, unfortunately.
I enjoy it, but man, this is just one of those things that I do not understand. Let me see. You should be able to play about 100 of your favorite PS3 games on your PS4 now for about $20 a month. PlayStation's finally launching a full PlayStation Now subscription service instead of just, rent your favorite games you want to replay on your bigger console.
Uh-huh.
They plan to do it for $19.99 for 1 month increments or $44.99 for 3 month increments.
Huh.
Both plans offer unlimited access to the entire PS Now catalog, which is over 100 titles. It's a good idea, but I would like to know what list of games that is. That would be the big selling point, is I want to know what's in the library. I know Suikoden 3 is now on Virtual Console, but, how long has that been?
If it's all like the cheap versions of their bestsellers or whatnot.
It's a question I like answered. Have you guys heard of Elite Dangerous?
Huh?
No?
No.
Elite Dangerous. I believe it's a PC game. This is fucking incredible. Every time I hear about it, I want to play it, but I'm afraid to get sucked into it because I will not come out. Elite Dangerous is a large game that allows you to do several things. It has in-game commerce, of course. There's shipbuilding, there's exploration. It's a spacefaring game. According to the creators, the game has recreated the entire galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy within it, and you can explore it.
Well, obviously not the actual galaxy, but something of the same size, I'm assuming.
Well, it's all in moderate size, and, it's scaled a bit, but it also has it doesn't have a fast travel system, so if you try to play there's 1,000 players right now trying their best to start exploring the star system. And according to some reports, they've barely scratched the surface.
Huh.
The in-system galaxy is modeled after our Milky Way. To explore it as much as they could, according to a story on IO9, some members of the expedition would forsake the rest of the game and just dive into the black unknown. A little less than a year ago, a player named Steve Gibonici Wilds put up a post looking for explorers, and at that time Elite Dangerous wasn't even officially released. He found himself with over 1,000 explorers.
Huh.
It's an amazing trip. There's some people that have said it's damn near impossible for any one person to explore it all within their own lifetime.
Wow.
It's an amazing idea.
Yeah?
The Great Expeditions ex-NASA scientist Griffin Verd said, quote, "I find myself falling into mission planning mode when I get ready to leave stations. The frame shift drive supercruise model in the game doesn't behave like normal orbital mechanics you think of within the shuttle. Burn the engine on this side of the planet, affect an orbit, change on the other side. But the planets do have effects on your ship, slowing you down and sometimes slingshotting you around the other side, as Kepler's second law says it must. So while the tasks are different, the mindset is surprisingly similar to what I did at NASA," unquote.
Nice. I'm excited for this.
It sounds really cool. I think it's released right now, but yeah, I can't get into this. You would never hear from me again. And on June 28, 2014, there was a couple named Max and Victoria Zeisberg. They were playing Call of Duty, and then they got a real Call of Duty when SWAT invaded their house.
Oh, somebody
They got
swatted
swatted?
them?
Yes, they did. It was a very scary thing, and it ended up in a Canadian team being arrested.
Good.
For people who don't know, swatting is what happens when somebody calls in an anonymous tip of a violent crime into a place where it's not occurring, and police respond appropriately, sending the SWAT team because they don't know it's a fake call.
Right.
It's very disruptive, very costly, and let me see. Gregory Sims described the situation in an official report. Quote, while holding perimeter, Central Dispatch was attempting to keep the mail caller online where he had called in on the non-emergency administration phone line and was stating his name was Max Ziegler. He then stated that he was sitting in his bedroom and wanted officers to come in. He then told dispatch that he was a current heroin user and that he had used heroin earlier in the day. He then stated that he used an AR-15 rifle to kill his wife and knew that the cops were there and was going to start killing them. Central was still attempting to talk the male into lying the gun down and coming out of the house, but he was continuing to refuse. This is where the caller made his first error because he said his name was Max Ziegler. The owner of the house is Max Zeisberg. But the police thought maybe he was just a little off, so they went in anyway. At the time the police went in, yeah, Max was playing Call of Duty. That must have been a strange bit of deja vu right there. Boom! God, holy shit, who are you? So apparently the Zeisbergs are also streamers too, which is probably how they got the attention of whatever dick this is.
Right.
That sucks. It just sucks ass.
Yeah, that's one thing that makes me hesitate before doing anything public online is like, am I going to piss somebody off? Especially in this age of hackers.
Oh, I know. Thank goodness we're not putting out a movie about Kim Jong-il.
Yeah.
Last bit of video game news I have. EVE Online, it has a money system where you can put real money in to get some game currency.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
I bet there's one guy who wished it didn't exist.
Oh, what happened?
The player's name is Ozuwara.
Okay.
He decided to make a transport of in-game currency from point to point. Okay? And he never even made it out of high security space before he and his cargo were obliterated by another player.
Oh.
He lost in-game items of different use, and he ended up losing $1,500 of real money.
Ooh.
It turns out what happens is that he decided to do this cargo transport in a base version ship, like a novice ship.
Oh. Hoping that nobody'd mess with him.
Probably, and somebody saw the ship take off, and he wasn't even looking for cargo. The guy just shot it down, not thinking about it, and it turns out it was kind of important.
Full of money. Yeah, I think I heard about this.
I mean, how much does that suck where you're just, okay, we'll just move this from here to here? Where the fuck did it go? What happened? what can you say?
Especially in a game like EVE, where that stuff is like, the start of wars and the like.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, anybody can do anything in that game short of, actual raping and pillaging, frankly. But it just turned out some guy, he probably didn't even think he was doing anything than griefing some new player, and there goes his stuff. So, if that teaches you anything, don't send anything out unless you're sure it's fucking armored.
Right?
Fucking awful. Alright, from there we'll move into Marvel media news, and it's been a busy period for Marvel while we've been away. First off, I'll ask, has anybody been watching Agent Carter?
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes.
No, actually.
Okay. Well, did anybody notice in the first episode of Agent Carter there was a trailer for a new Marvel film?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
You didn't catch it?
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, guess what I got?
The trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Gimme.
I sent it. Relax. It's a trailer to a new movie called Ant-Man.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. I remember this. I do remember this.
I know you remember this. It's kind of innocuous. It doesn't show much of Ant-Man.
This is the same trailer that they had ant-sized, if I remember correctly.
No, they had a teaser trailer ant-sized. It was like 6 seconds. This is
Oh,
a
okay.
full, like, near 2-minute trailer.
Now don't let anyone tell you you have done
A whole lot of Michael Douglas narration in it.
Mm.
second chance.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just didn't expect Hank Pym to have, like, the Professor Beard there.
Close look at it.
Makes you wonder what exactly is going on, but I think I've heard some things about the synopsis of the film. You saw a picture of Ant-Man's daughter, who turns out to be a superhero later.
Right.
I assume she's not going to be 4 if they attempt to do that.
I would assume not.
Yeah.
It's not about saving our world.
It puts...
It's about saving.
That was probably the best line I heard out of the whole trailer. I'll go back over it with you when he gets there.
I need you to be.
Costume looks very similar to what was released in that footage in Comic-Con 2 years ago.
Mhm.
It's an interesting costume. I don't think I've ever actually.
Oh, it looks like they're making
Seen it
the
before.
size change almost instantaneous, as opposed to seeing it go big or small.
Yeah, I'm actually missing each time the scene that he actually transforms.
Is it too late to change the name?
When he does it,
That's
because
good.
it does seem like a pop, like he's falling instead of just keeping his feet planted on the floor. But my favorite line throughout the whole thing was the one that was unexpectedly serious, when Pym is telling Scott Lang, it's not about saving your world, it's about saving theirs.
Interesting.
That's a very straightforward line you don't usually hear associated with superheroes. They're usually so gung-ho about how much they have to save everybody, and here's one guy saying, you gotta do it for them. I think that's very cool. And it still seems like it's going to be somewhat comedic after Rudd's reactions. I like how he doesn't even want to be called Ant-Man. That's nifty.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of a silly name. Paul Rudd. That's the name of that actor.
Yeah,
Why go for Giant Man?
that's about as bad. And I sent you guys a URL because Entertainment Weekly around the same time came out with their new cover, which shows a decent picture of the Ant-Man costume.
I would like the Changeling.
Already taken.
Changeling was a
I
seamless
know.
Marvel character who was killed quite a while ago.
I figured something like that would have been taken.
And Marvel and DC had one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah. There was a surprising picture that was released a while ago. Marvel released this Ant-Man sort of banner with an Avengers Initiative tag on it. If you look at the right side, though, it has another character that we've heard rumored, but we didn't have a whole lot of confirmation on until recently. I'll send it to you because on the left side it shows a very prominent Ant-Man. In the middle of it you see the silhouette of a bunch of ants. On the right side, though,
Wasp?
Ooh,
you'll see a character.
no, that's Yellow Jacket.
Yellow
actually.
Chicken.
The bad
How
guy.
am I to know?
Well, no, Wasp was an easy mistake, but
Wasp
same
is a
color
But,
mixed up.
Yellow Jacket is supposed to be the villain in the film, and it looks like he's got 4 prehensile tendrils attached to his particular uniform.
Actually, 2 prehensiles and 1 in the cell on his back. It's probably for flight.
Well, from what I've heard so far, the character playing Yellow Jacket used some patents he co-owned with Hank Pym to create some kind of new device that he's getting ready to roll out. I'm guessing that Hank Pym hires Scott Lang, a
Thief.
B&E guy, to help grab it. So that's my assumption anyway. And then over the course, he becomes a hero, blah, blah, fucking blah. Well, we know where this is headed. I'm not even going to play with that.
Fair enough.
Marvel's continuing with their Netflix TV series. Daredevil's supposed to open up in April this year on Netflix. They're releasing all 12 episodes up front. There won't be a weekly rollout. Or actually, I think it's 13 episodes. But the Daredevil producers have said there will be no Bullseye in this series.
Really?
I don't believe they mean ever, but in this particular season, there will be no Bullseye. It's going to be the rise of the Kingpin as the villain, though.
Interesting.
The showrunner, Stephen S. DeKnight, said, quote, within the Marvel Universe, there are thousands of heroes of all shapes and sizes, but the Avengers are here to save the universe, and Daredevil is here to save the neighborhood. Let's see, he continues on. It's a very unique look at Hell's Kitchen in New York, where Matt Murdock grew up and continues to defend it from people who would harm the people that live there, unquote. Pretty typical story for Matt Murdock. I'm looking forward to it, though. All the Marvel stuff has been so globe-spanning, it'd be nice to see some quieter stuff. I know that sounds lame, but you gotta tell all kinds of stories if you're going to keep it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I take it by now you guys have heard about the Days of Futures Past Rogue cut coming?
No, actually.
No. First I've heard of it.
We discussed before how X-Men Days of Futures Past, Fox was planning on releasing a director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've made it official. This summer, they're putting out the Rogue cut, which they're calling a distinct version of the film. It has at least 10 minutes that include the Southern Belle and a jailbreak, including Magneto and Iceman to get her out.
Interesting.
I assume there's going to be more in it than just that particular, bit of minutes added back into the film. Last I heard, the original cut of the film was supposed to be close to about 3.5 hours.
Wow.
I could be wrong on that, but that's my recollection of it. But that's also why, even though I'm interested in buying the movie, I haven't bought it yet, because I knew this was coming. Sad news, though. Patrick Stewart has said that he doesn't think he or Ian McKellen are going to appear in X-Men Apocalypse.
Right about, came across that article.
That doesn't seem surprising, though.
Patrick Stewart was talking to Larry King on Larry King Now, and he said, quote, "I was learning quite a lot more about it last night, and it's going to be looking very much at the earlier lives of all of our characters. And so I don't think we'll be making an appearance," unquote. So it looked like looks like Days of Futures Past is the bow out from McKellen and Stewart.
Well, they had a good run.
Their time, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, no arguing that. So I take it you guys have seen the other big Marvel trailer that came out during the last couple of weeks.
Age of Ultron?
The new one? Yes.
I haven't seen it.
There is a second trailer out now. We saw the first one a while ago. I'll send you the URL for the second one. Here it is. It's got the same bleak tone, and it also has No Strings on Me playing in like these skinny piano keys. Fucking freaky as hell.
I think it's some other Disney song they're playing. Probably from Pinocchio.
No, I'm pretty sure it's No Strings on Me.
Yeah, it's Pinocchio's No Strings on Me.
Then as if on cue, there's No Strings on Me. Look, Chris Hemsworth looking beefy. It seems like every successive trailer to this film just makes everything look more and more desperate.
That's kind of good. You kind of want that for your heroes, for your heroes.
Oh, I want them to be challenged. Frick yeah, that's why I can't watch Superman films. It's got some interesting stuff going on in there, including the big old Hulkbuster.
Yeah, they had that one in the other one, though.
Yeah, but this one has the two of them actually cooking it out.
I don't know, for some reason they think they made the Hulkbuster in this iteration much better than the comics ever did.
It looks like the last comic version, actually. Tony Stark brought out something very similar.
I like it.
There were two things in there that people are still kind of trying to pick apart, though. One is Andy Serkis, his non-CG role, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
With that tall hair and that freaky-ass beard. There's still guesses that he's Ulysses Claw, but no one's for sure on that yet.
Could be a good time to Ant-Man, actually. Or...
well, actually, Ulysses Claw is a villain of another Marvel hero, though. Which leads me to mark number 2. Early on in the trailer, I'm sure you guys noticed some... it looked like an African woman taking off a robe.
Right.
The speculation online is that's one of the Dora Milaje.
Who?
Dora Milaje are a group of bodyguards, female bodyguards, trained specifically to protect their king, the king of Wakanda. otherwise known as the Black Panther in the Marvel Universe.
Right.
And Ulysses Klaue is one of the Black Panther's chief villains.
Okay.
So there's some serious questions as whether or not the Panther is in this film. It was curious during their announcement of their calendar that they brought out, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, and then they brought out the third actor, the one who was playing Black Panther, who was unannounced up until that moment. They didn't bring out Robert Downey Jr., they brought him out. So it makes me wonder what's going on.
Interesting. Downey's the villain.
Well, we're headed towards Civil War, so he could very well be.
Yeah.
True.
Well, Emily Blunt has apparently been cast by some people as Captain Marvel. The only problem is nobody told Emily Blunt.
That's
Gotta love the internet and rumors.
She was interviewed by The Vulture, and they asked about the current buzz surrounding her possibly playing Carol Danvers in the Captain Marvel film. Right. Well, Emily Blunt said, quote, "Oh, no one's offered me that officially, so it's very unofficial," unquote. She went on to say, quote, "I think it's fan casting, which is always very nice, but nothing official has been offered for sure," unquote. It's interesting that twice in that group of sentences she used the word official. As if someone's been kicking around something with her, but no one's actually given her a contract.
Interesting.
Well, it's also interesting to note we went over that list where Emily Blunt was the first one cast as the Black Widow, too. She just couldn't make it because of scheduling problems, and that's how Scarlett Johansson landed the role.
Interesting.
So she's someone that's already been on Marvel's radar. It could be they're reapproaching her. For those unfamiliar with Emily Blunt, the easiest thing I could think of to tell you was that she was in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'll send you a URL that Newsarama attached to the site from Edge of Tomorrow. Not exactly Katie Sackhoff, but she looks kind of like Carol Danvers in this picture.
Oh, she could pass for Carol Danvers.
Yeah. It's not very often, though, that you hear a movie maker admit that something was their fault.
Hardly ever.
Yeah, Michael Bay doesn't do it. Steven Spielberg certainly doesn't do it. George Lucas, I don't think he knows the words "I'm sorry."
I don't think he cares.
Yeah. But on the Nerdist podcast, Sam Raimi had a lengthy discussion about everything that happened with Spider-Man 3. And in a podcast around the 1 minute, or the 1 hour, 4 minute mark, he suddenly says, quote, "Working in that big budget arena with so much at stake, with much beloved characters as Stan Lee created, people really hold them so dear to them that you don't want to mess up. And I messed up with that third Spider-Man. People hated me for years. They still hate me for it. It's a movie that didn't work very well. I tried to make it work, but I didn't really believe in all the characters, and so that can't be hidden from people who love Spider-Man. If the director doesn't love something, it's wrong of them to make it when so many other people love it," unquote.
Good for him.
Wow. Yeah.
That may not be entirely him saying that it's his fault, but he definitely takes a share of blame. The reason why some people are speculating is because it's no secret that when making Spider-Man 3, he had a very specific vision and script, but Sony rammed Venom down his throat and forced him to put it in the film.
Oh, we could blame Sony for that one.
Yeah, they definitely share the blame in this, if that's what they're alluding to anyway.
Well, yeah, I remember all the marketing they did with Venom products and stuff. I think someone just liked the aesthetic and was like, make toys.
Yeah, Chris Hardwick actually said it must be hard to get into the third movie when the origin story's been done and everyone wants to see the second movie topped. And Raimi responded with, quote, "I think raising the stakes was the thinking going into it, and I think that's what doomed us. I should have just stuck with the characters and the relationships and progressed them to the next step and not tried to top the bar. I think that was my mistake," unquote. There you go.
Yeah, that's very... I won't say mature, but... Yeah, no,
Mature's
not going to say
right.
mature.
Considering what Hollywood does and all the emails we've seen from Sony after the hack, I'd say mature is the right word for it. But also in Spider-Man news, there's a casting call issued for Amazing Spider-Man 3, where it is that Andrew Garfield and Dale DeHaan are returning as their characters as Spider-Man and the Green Goblin.
Okay.
Cool.
The Sinister Six is supposed to come out in 2016. The Amazing Spider-Man 3 should be in 2018, I believe.
Damn.
Oh no, Sony has it slotted for a 2016 release with Amazing Spider-Man 4 in 2018, but they may be pushing back Spider-Man 3 because of the disappointment in Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's a whole bunch of speculation without a lot of sure item, but that's where it seems to be leading to.
Yeah, I still have yet to watch either of those.
I haven't seen the second one yet. I haven't been very driven to do so. I have been watching Agent Carter. It's not blowing me away, but it's watchable. More I can say for other things I go through.
I really like the aesthetic.
The 40s?
Yeah, and a lot of their music choices. Some of the jazz has been a little abrasive for my taste, but...
To be honest, I think it's the fact that they're working in a particular timeline that seems very, very dated to a lot of us.
Here's the thing, though. The actor playing Agent Peggy Carter, Haley Atwell, she brought up something I never thought about.
What?
She knows that this is a mid-season mini, basically. It's supposed to be 13 episodes and done.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
She presented that there could be a whole lot of sequels that could be made to the series, and I never put thought into it, but she's absolutely right. Quote, what was fantastic about seeing Peggy Carter in Captain America 2 is that we know she's lived a full life. She would have experienced the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and she would have experienced so much culturally during that time.
Huh, that's a good point.
She goes on, quote, we learned from Captain America 2 that she's married and that she's had children. We haven't seen that either. I'm jumping the gun because I love working on the show so much that I really hope we carry on. That's for the audience and Marvel to decide. If we did, it would be a very exciting thing to explore, unquote. She's absolutely right. I had not put that much thought into it. Technically, if they wanted to, they could put her character together with a second Captain America, John Walker from the 50s.
That would help explain and tie in a bit. Like, one of the few things that's annoyed me about the show so far is that they've really hammered in how much it sucked for women back then.
The thing is, that's how it was.
I realize that, and that's all valid, but I feel like they did slightly more hammering than they really needed to, unless they're going to pick it up again and point out how things are progressing.
Unfortunately,
I think it's going to be a recurring theme throughout the show is the fact that her co-workers just don't take her at her word simply because she has a vagina.
Right.
Which sounds very baseline, but unfortunately, that's males for you.
Well, males in the 50s, at least.
Hasn't changed that much today. Jeremy Renner put out an interesting tweet.
Oh?
Yeah, and he's being kind of cryptic about it. This story came out as of January 6th, so it was almost a couple weeks ago. He said, quote, Tuesday morning, I find myself in costume again. I just can't tell you why. And it still fits. Hashtag Marvel, hashtag Avengers, hashtag Hawkeye, unquote.
Ooh.
He's doing something, and he won't say what.
Exciting.
Tease.
Yeah.
Well, he's not saying why. It could be Age of Ultron reshoots. Maybe they're adding the Panther. It could be that he's working on something else. Maybe they got him. Maybe they're doing early photography on Doctor Strange. I couldn't say. I don't know anything in this particular part of the calendar that he could be working on right now because Doctor Strange is the only thing that has a lead actor. All the other new projects they're talking about don't have it. Or he could be working on Cap 3 for all I know. I don't know if Jeremy Renner has a multi-contract deal like the others, but I just don't think he gives a shit.
Yeah.
He's just enjoying it.
Yeah.
This was a story I didn't expect. You remember how mechanical web shooters are back in the Amazing Spider-Man movies for Sony?
Uh-huh.
That was all Brian Michael Bendis' fault, the writer of the Avengers and the all-new X-Men.
Really?
The comic books. This is his fault.
I don't know why it's his fault. I didn't have a problem with it.
It's not that he's taking blame for anything stupid. It's just, it literally came down to him, according to a story he told the Fortune and Glory magazine. He was talking about a meeting he had with Sony, helping them trying to align their universe movies. Quote, they asked me to be in the deciding vote on some stuff, which is an odd experience as well. Before Amazing Spider-Man, they sat me down in Amy Pascal's office with this big room full of producers and writers and directors, and she looked at me and said, organic web shooters or mechanical web shooters? I said mechanical, and half the table said, God damn it! They were mad because I was clearly the deciding vote, even though I didn't know that. So when I see the mechanical web shooters, I feel a little happiness. I feel like I did something good in the world, unquote.
Nice.
I think all of us have been in that situation where at least two people ask us a question, we give an answer, and one of them goes, fuck.
It's never happened to me that I can think of offhand.
Really?
Yeah. I
All right.
also
Usually happens to me
think-
debating on costumes that people are wearing.
I'm not known to be terribly opinionated, which is ironic considering I'm on a podcast, but
Darn women in films. Well, I got some interesting news I didn't expect at all this week. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. news, believe it or not.
Really?
Okay.
And they're bringing in another actor to add to the cast in what they call a role with massive repercussions for Agent Coulson.
Oh boy.
is it
Commander
Amy?
Dama himself, Edward James Olmos, is joining the show in March in an unspecified episode.
Oh crap.
Wait, say that again? Who?
The guy that played
Edward James Olmos, the guy that played
the captain on...
Admiral Adama in Battlestar Galactica.
yeah.
Oh, Adama.
Yep. He's going to play a character named Robert Gonzalez. According to Jeff Loeb at Marvel, the guy who runs their TV programs, quote, Edward James almost brings an amazing gravitas to any role he inhabits. Something we knew we needed for Robert Gonzalez. When Olmos first appears on our series, everyone will have to take notice, including our favorite agents, unquote.
Interesting.
An initial search of Google by Newsarama didn't turn up any Robert Gonzalez in the Marvel comic universe at all. So this is a completely original character, whatever it's going to be.
Cool.
He's not the only one debuting. It turns out Blair Underwood is also scheduled to debut in a March episode. Except, we already know what he's going to be. He is the estranged husband of one Melinda May.
Oh! Exciting.
I sense gossip.
That's going to be fun.
Last bit of Marvel media news I have for you is that Scarlett Johansson is slated to return for Captain America 3.
Good.
Cool.
Okay.
Reprise her role as a Black Widow. More dark spandex.
And more teasing of a... Never mind.
She's picturing something I'm not going for.
I feel like they were teasing a relationship between those two, or at least an unusual relationship. Maybe not a romantic relationship exactly, but
Well, it may go deeper than you think, because as it turns out in the comic books, the Black Widow knew the Winter Soldier in the 80s when he was a sniper for the communist Russia.
interesting.
So we'll see if that plays out on screen as well. But Anthony and Joe Russo, the guys who directed Captain America 2 Winter Soldier, they said during an interview in China, quote, "We've been preparing for the movie since the one debuted last year. So we've been working on it for a long time now. We're very happy with how it's coming along. Captain America 3 is going to be called Captain America Civil War and is going to star Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson will be back, Winter Soldier will be back, and Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man will also be joining us in the next film," unquote.
Awesome.
Well, if it's called the Civil War, yeah, you kind of need Iron Man.
Well, actually, according to the story on Yahoo TV, Civil War will feature the titular hero Evans facing off against Iron Man Downey Jr., Winter Soldier Sebastian Stan, Falcon Anthony Mackie, Black Panther Chadwick Boseman, and Crossbones Frank Grillo will be forced to take sides in the epic war, which will feature the Marvel debut of Daniel Bruhl in an unknown role.
Who?
Daniel Bruhl. I don't know the man myself. Maybe he'll be Black Goliath. All right, we'll move into DC media news from there. We'll start off with a little bit of news about Supergirl casting. CBS is talking about casting the Supergirl series. I don't know when they expect to open it, but they do plan, according to the article in Entertainment Weekly, on it being a crime procedural, mixing a Case of the Week style formula with a real series arc for the titular character. Oh shit.
I'm not too thrilled with this idea.
I don't see Supergirl as a crime procedural.
Right? I mean, I like crime procedurals, but I don't like the things being made crime procedurals that don't really need to be.
There's already 2 DC crime procedural shows.
Exactly.
You got Flash. Why do you need another one? Even if it's on another network, why do you need another one? Especially CBS, which they have the NCIS shows, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, not to mention the fact that this is
Supergirl.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a character that's just, screams out genius.
Well,
Thinker.
according to CBS chairman Nina Tassler, she says about the series, quote, Supergirl is a very strong, independent young woman. She's coming into her own. She's dealing with family issues. She's dealing with work issues. It's a female empowerment story. If you look at the strong female characters we have on the air, it's really resonant of that. We're big feminists. It's her intellect. It's her skill. It's her smarts. It's all of those elements. It's not just her strength, which she does have, unquote.
And they're approaching this from the wrong angle.
I agree.
I think so. I've been in the minority, but I've always thought the best version of Supergirl was the one that's unsure of herself. You know, the teenager trying to grow up with the ability to move a building and trying not to crack everything as she walks.
Yeah, the teenager with an anxiety complex because she's afraid of breaking everything.
But at the same time, it's like everyone was afraid to stop her from doing anything because a teenage tantrum from a character like this is fucking dangerous.
Right?
So that's the version I like the most. A character trying to find herself? Sure, but this sounds way too mundane for Supergirl.
Yeah.
Oh well. Well, it does look like the CW is enjoying what they're doing, and they're already talking about a potential Atom spin-off series from Arrow.
Who?
Adam?
The Atom is a character that's already...
Right. Yeah, he's there.
Arrow. Which character? Ray Palmer.
Yep.
He's being played by Brandon Routh in Arrow. He's the one that's sexing up the character of Felicity Smoke lately, her boss.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. According to Greg Berlanti, according to CW head honcho Mark Pedowitz, he said the network is in preliminary discussions to expand the Flash Arrow universe. And Greg Berlanti has said the Atom. Quote, the thing that we've been talking about is just how do we further expand the universe? And we love Brandon, and we love having him on Arrow. Brandon's so terrific and embodies the role so well that when we talk about how to further expand things, he's a natural person to talk about, unquote. As long as he's never, ever going to be Superman again.
Right? He's terrible as that. He's great in everything else I've seen him in.
I wonder because he's been so animated in other stuff. He was funny in Scott Pilgrim versus the
I honestly, I blame the director or the writing or the conglomeration. No, I blame the character. What am I saying?
In all honesty, it could have been the costumer's fault. From what I understand, he's incredibly well endowed.
Yeah.
He tried to hide it, but he was wearing those bright red trunks, which made it even worse.
Yeah.
So maybe he wasn't underacting. Maybe he's just going, God damn it, my balls are
I could see it.
But the Flash TV series is moving forward. They apparently have found the character that's going to be Weather Wizard for them.
Ooh, nice.
And Spartacus star Liam McIntyre has been cast as the Weather Wizard.
I heard about that.
He's supposed to debut in episode 15, which returns from mid-season break on January 20th. So that's this week. Flash is back on TV as of this week.
Cool.
So it's going to be the brother of the character that was killed in the first episode of The Flash.
Ah, okay.
So it's not a resurrection, it's just the one that we hadn't heard from yet.
Right, but I thought that was kind of odd. Did they just kill the Weather Wizard?
Yeah, shot him straight through the chest, and that's it. He's done. Bring on Necron, because that's the only way we're getting that back. There's also been a disturbing rumor that Batman v Superman may be cut into 2 films because of the size and scope of what's going on.
Oh my god, it's gonna suck. That'd be awesome. But probably suck.
No, thank the gods that Henry Cavill spoke out, because he put that rumor completely to bed.
Oh, okay.
He said, Superman v Batman Dawn of Justice, while having enough for 2 films, will only be 1 movie. Thank the gods, man. I couldn't take that stretched out.
Oh my... It might be worse, though, if it's a really, really, really long movie, like if it has the AI problem. As in, it should have ended once, but then it decides...
No, there's still more. Let's put us through more pain.
Arguably, you could also call it the end of Lord of the Rings.
Or we could just really, really need the Batloop that much. Remember we talked not long before the break about the Firestorm costume for the Flash TV show?
Mm-hmm.
Seemed to be a dark jacket with some glowing bits.
Yep.
You know, we talked about it. It seemed like a decent compromise. I may have to walk that statement back.
Really?
Somebody tweeted a picture from a recent gathering of people trying to sell different shows for advertisers and everything.
Uh-huh.
And they got a shot of the Firestorm costume. I'm going to assume this is version 1, but this is what I consider unfinished. If it's finished, fuck you all. No way.
Sorry.
I sent you guys the URL. You can take a look.
Yeah, that's not...
It's a hoodie
He's wearing
with something
wool?
to the front.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a hoodie. I think that's just...
Oh, you're right. It's just some kind of ugly track jacket.
Because, wool is super protective.
Yeah, but I mean, you can see behind him the costume for Captain Cold.
Right.
And I assume that's reverse flash just over the shoulder of
Yep.
the mannequin that's wearing the Firestorm stuff. So this is the right thing. Apparently Firestorm is just going to be homeless with something stapled to him.
Honestly, it seems like they made a containment device, to help control his powers. That's what it looks like to me.
And they can CG up the little thingies on him and whatnot, but yeah, just...
I know, I was hoping for a first shot, even if it's a rough version, that we got something more than this, though. This is awfully bare bones. So,
Maybe they'll CGI up or something.
I don't know. I was just hoping for more, that's all. We've talked before how sometimes you lose characters who are slated for certain roles. Tom Cruise was nearly Iron Man. Emily Blunt was nearly the Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when you have large cast movies, things fall apart before they even start. Unfortunately, that's happened to the Suicide Squad.
Really?
Tom Hardy is supposed to be cast as the character of Rick Flag, one of the Suicide Squad mainstays throughout the years.
Uh-huh.
He's had to leave the film over scheduling issues.
Okay.
I don't know what scheduling issues, they weren't that specific, but he has now exited the film. He's no longer going to play the character. Some people have quoted that he may be out due to the press tour for Mad Max Fury Road, which he is starring in. Or for all we know, maybe the rumors are true. He met Will Smith and just said, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore.
I wouldn't be entirely surprised.
But they've also cast the Trickster for the Flash TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Dexter, one of the stars from Dexter, Devin Gray, is going to play a young Trickster who steals the equipment of the old Trickster, Mark Hamill.
Ha!
So now we know how Hamill fits into this role. Thank God he's not going to bounce around in that ugly-ass outfit another time. I'm sorry, I know that when he did that role, they credit what he did on the original Flash TV show as to why he was cast in the Joker in the animated show. And I heard the clip, I understand. I really do. But the costume is fucking horrible. What they did to his hair is completely confusing to me. But that's not the only DC casting we heard. According to the Hollywood Reporter, in an upcoming Batman animated film called Batman vs. Robin, there's going to be a villain in there of the doll maker, which is kind of creepy. He makes, dolls out of people. Except, playing the doll maker in Batman vs. Robin is none other
Weird Al
than Mr.
Yankovic.
Nerdy Weird Al Yankovic.
Yep.
Nice.
Batteries?
It's going to be creepy as all piss.
Yeah.
Still waiting for him to appear in Gallivant. I want to see what he is in this show. Have you guys been watching that?
No.
I have watched all 4 episodes out. I'm fucking engaged in this show. We're gonna tangent here a minute, so just give me a sec. Gallivant was something I heard about a week before it came out. It came out like just after the new year. Although I'd read some of the promos, and some of the guys that were working on it said, if you like The Princess Bride, you'll love this.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
When I read that, I'm just thinking, okay, so you're setting the bar high, just hoping you meet half our expectations. Okay, fuck that. And then TV commercials come on, and what do I see? I see Weird Al Yankovic as a snapping, dancing monk. I'm like, okay, now you've piqued my interest. I watched the first episode. Fucking A, I'm so in on this show. When they said that when the Princess Bride comparisons, completely earned.
Really?
I shit you not. The synopsis of the whole thing, the first few minutes is like this musical story, and I was kind of sold when part of the song talks about how big his balls are. Not literally, it's a comparison in melons and everything, but they talk about his cojones mid-tune. The story, though, as it begins, is he's got the role of basically the Dread Pirate Roberts. He's riding into the castle of an evil king that stole his lady love. He gets there, he interrupts the wedding, and this is where it deviates from the Princess Bride, because instead of going back with him, she chooses fame, fortune, and this evil king over him.
I like it.
So his life slides. Takes like this 6-month slide. He's drinking, he's gained 20 pounds, he's got this new squire that is trying his best just to keep him sober. And this princess comes in with a problem. It turns out somebody's invaded her kingdom and wants his help to liberate it. He won't move until he hears the name of King Richard, which just so happens to be the king that married his woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, the story starts over again. The 4th episode was just hilarious because they meet a bunch of pirates who are landlocked.
Huh?
Because of a combination of them not working together in a bad tide, their boat ended up like halfway up a mountain.
That's one hell of a tide.
But instead of they can't work together, so instead of pulling it free, they just kind of make camp underneath it and just stay there.
Okay, now I have to watch this.
It's free on Hulu. I completely recommend it. It's fucking fun. Not only that, but the evil queen is having an affair with the jester of all people. And the king is completely oblivious. He actually tells his bodyguard, who's being played by, God, what's his name? The tall guy from Gone in 60 Seconds. Vince. Fuck, I don't remember his name. But he actually watches his wife, just laughing at the jester and says, Gareth, what do you think she sees in the jester? And Gareth looks at the jester who's like seductively kissing his little marionette head, and he says, "No idea, my king." Still not funny. I must be missing something.
I'm smiling, just not, laughing out in the aisles.
Well, I just remember he said, "Aren't you glad I didn't say banana?" Nope. I think it's going right over my head. Oh, it's going over your head, my man.
Yeah.
So, I fully recommend it. We'll move from there into general media news. First off was something that was kind of heavily talked about towards the end of December there. The series finale to The Legend of Korra.
Yep.
The Avatar series on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
The two characters, Korra and Asami, walked into the spirit portal holding hands, and a lot of people were wondering, wait, are those... Are they?
Yeah.
No. Well, the Legend of Korra creators have decided to speak out a little bit, and according to Mike DiMartino,
Mm-hmm.
he said, quote, "Our intention with the last scene was to make it as clear as possible that, yes, Korra and Asami have a romantic feelings for each other. The moment where they enter the spirit portal symbolizes their evolution from being friends to being a couple. Many news outlets, bloggers, and fans picked up on this and didn't find it ambiguous. For the most part, it seems like the point of a scene was understood and additional commentary wasn't really needed from Brian or me. But in case people were still questioning what happened in the last scene, I want to make a clear verbal statement to complement the show's visual one. I get that not everyone will be happy with the way the show ended. Rarely does a series finale of any show satisfy the show's fans. So I've been pleasantly surprised with the positive articles and posts I've seen about Korra's finale," unquote.
Dude, all the fans that I hear all over the damn internet were like, hands up there saying, yes, yes! Like, oh my god, they actually did it.
I watched it, and I'll be honest, they should have kissed. And I'm not saying that going, oh my god, two girls kissing on screen would be so great in a cartoon. No, it would have been a nice final statement to see the culmination of the evolution of that relationship. Because even though it was heavily implied, there was still everybody, even the people hoping for it, were going, I think it was.
Well, the thing is, they're plenty of people doubting it because no one thinks they're going to show a lesbian relationship in a children's cartoon ever, and they did.
I'm not sure this was necessarily a children's cartoon at that point, though.
Yeah, they stopped airing on network.
Yeah, it was just one of those cases where I just wish somebody had come out and said, let's be honest. So, but there's actually an art exhibit that's getting ready to be put up at the Nucleus Gallery. I forget where they're located, but they're actually having an entire Avatar and Legend of Korra gallery put up on March 7th. Including statues, plush toys, production art, and all this is going down at the gallery in Alhambra. So it's actually more local to me, I guess. I might try and check that out. Anybody here a fan of The Evil Dead? I don't mean the remake, I mean the original big-chinned Evil Dead.
Nah, I just always liked Army of Darkness.
I'm not a big zombie movie fan. I like Bruce Campbell.
It's not a zombie movie.
No.
It's so many more things than that. But news dropped last month that Evil Dead is coming back to stars with Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi. And now they found out that there's 2 additional characters that are going to star with the character of Ash.
Okay.
According to Bruce Campbell himself, quote, "We're going to give people a little of the old-fashioned slapstick, or splatstick, horror and comedy. The fans have really been good to us over the years. This is an opportunity to do something with full street cred. Something we're doing is taking the horror parts very seriously. We're not making fun of the horror aspects. It's going to cause Ash, this crabby middle-aged man who doesn't want to get dragged back into this, a lot of problems. He's not the Ash he used to be. And the beauty of Stars is that there's no content issues. Let's face it, fans want the carnage and the mayhem, so we intend to give them quite the explosion of viscera. Most of it directed at me, unfortunately." You know what? Fucking sold, I'm in. I want to see this now. Go on to talk about the other characters added. Quote, "It's a threesome, which is a good number. Since it's not cast yet, it would be silly to fully describe them, but they're supposed to be 2 very good counterparts. One is a male bonding situation, the other is a father figure deal. Since Ash could have a daughter the same age as this character. Hopefully we'll pull Ash out of his loner veteran mode and get him back into being a human being again," unquote. Oh yeah, I gotta get Stars now. We talked a little bit earlier in the show about the Sony hack. We gested toward it, and we know by now that the interview was released online in a limited theater run. There's a man who can't get money back from the movie. Here's why. Yeah, a man in Ohio. He bought $650 worth of tickets, 50 passes at $13 each to the movie. The man's name is Jason Bess. He found out that a local theater to him in Clifton was among the 300 theaters actually playing the movie at the time. They're going to assume he tried to scalp him since he bought 50 tickets, and he didn't have anyone to go with. He saw all the hype about it, and he tried to resell them, and people weren't buying them for some fucking reason. So he went to the theater to get his money back, and they told him we can't. It turns out that they listed the movie as a special engagement. You don't get refunds on fucking special engagements.
Damn.
So he's not getting his money back.
Oh, well.
You know what, frankly, he kind of earned that one. Should have read the fine print before he decided to be a scalper.
Yeah.
This is something I didn't expect, though. The Walking Dead TV show. It's enjoying a lot of success lately. Except it may not be allowed in China very soon.
Oh, no.
According to CNN, China's broadcast regulator strongly hinted from April of 2015 it would only approve healthy content to be streamed online, which is a troubling prospect for shows that have zombie horror drama, such as The Walking Dead, and steamy period dramas like Masters of Sex. Online broadcasters may have to wait for a show's entire season to air in the U.S. before streaming it in China. Hardcore followers say they dread the prospect of having to wait to watch chopped versions of their favorite shows streaming online. The Walking Dead may be Chinese contraband soon. Wouldn't that be weird? Of all the movies you can get without copyrights, you can't get The Walking Dead.
Right.
Fucking bizarre. Speaking of bizarre, we've talked about how Star Wars Episode 7 nearly cost Harrison Ford his foot.
Yeah.
The Millennium Falcon took a big bite out of him when the door fell. Well, I hope his scenes are all done.
Why?
It's just been announced that the Star Wars The Force Awakens, the 7th film of Star Wars, they've added the stunt team from the Raid 2.
What?
Okay.
The Raid is an Indonesian group of films about SWAT forces in the country dealing with often very violent and dangerous prospects. They've added the stunt team from these movies to the Star Wars franchise.
Oh boy.
Let's hope Mr. Ford is already done with the scenes in his car, back in bed by now, just counting his money. According to the article on Yahoo TV, Drew McWeeny described them as, quote, as you can see in the piece embedded at the top of this article, I spoke with Iko Uwais, the star of the film, at Sundance a year ago. I think these guys are crazy good at what they do. The stunt team he calls top-notch, unrelenting, and precise in a way that allows him to do things that look impossible, unquote. Holy fuck. What do they want these guys to do? Gonna have fucking Gungans hanging from the ceiling or something? That's freaky. And not only that, Indie Revolver somehow got their hands on a tweeted picture. We may see what a new TIE fighter looks like for Star Wars 7. Want to see it?
Pics.
Yeah.
Jeez, I could hear the drool from here. Indie Revolver has a pretty good record of finding concept art in the new Star Wars film. This TIE fighter, it's very interestingly stylized. It looks like it's some kind of Emperor's Guard, I guess.
Yeah.
Those red stripes are very prominent on it.
Well, it's got 2 Imperial guards standing at the ramp.
Yeah, but you notice how low the how low the cockpit sits between the wings there? They're kind of oblong.
Huh.
Unless it's moored in some specific way I can't see.
I wonder if it looks like it's landed. It's on the ground, so it looks like the panels may possibly angle a certain way. Or rotate. No, they'll probably rotate.
They could do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually.
I do see the extra air intakes on the side of the cockpit there, though. So,
Makes me wonder if this thing actually has shields.
If it had shields, it could finally end the Star Trek debate. Well, no, they still don't have transporters. They're screwed.
We can't end the Star Trek debate, V, because it would turn into red shirts versus stormtroopers. Guys who can't shoot versus guys who can't live.
It'll be a stalemate. Nothing's gonna get done.
But the worst part is Star Wars could still technically win, because even though stormtroopers can't shoot for shit, red shirts would just drop dead at random. Slip on a rock or something and fall over like dominoes. I don't fucking know. One thing I can say, though, is that we now have a slate of comic book movies stretching through to 2020 that could drive a man broke.
Oh.
Newsarama compiled the list. 2015, in order of release, we have The Avengers Age of Ultron, then Ant-Man, then the Fantastic Four movie by Fox. 2016, we have the Deadpool film, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, Star Trek 3 on July 8th, Suicide Squad August 5th, October 7th is Gambit, November 4th is Doctor Strange, November 11th is Sinister Six. All of those were in 2016.
Wow.
12 fucking movies?
So, we're going to start getting paid and getting a budget to go see movies, right?
There were nine movies in 2016, 3 movies in 2015. You thought that sounded bad? 2017, March 3rd is the untitled Wolverine sequel. May 5th, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. June 2nd, Fantastic Four 2, assuming Fox doesn't kill itself. June 23rd, Wonder Woman. July 28th, Thor Ragnarok. November 3rd, Black Panther. November 17th, Justice League Part 1. Unspecified release date in 2017, the Sony female Spider-Man spinoff. Unspecified date in 2017, Sony Venom Carnage Spider-Man spinoff.
So this decade is obviously the decade of the superhero movies.
Yeah.
Seems that way. Then it starts to peter out a bit, but probably only because people haven't announced the rest of these. 2018, March 23rd, The Flash. May 4th, Avengers Infinity War Part 1. July 6th, Captain Marvel. July 13th, untitled Fox Mystery Marvel film. July 27th, Aquaman. November 2nd, Inhumans. Unspecified date, Amazing Spider-Man 3. 2019, April 5th, Shazam. May 5th, Avengers Infinity War Part 2. June 14th, Justice League Part 2. And in 2020, April 3rd is Cyborg. June 19th is Green Lantern.
That's pretty crazy.
There's a seat in my local theater that's going to have my ass dimples firmly planted in it.
Yeah, they're going to get to know us all personally.
Yeah. NBC is apparently going ahead with the rumored martial arts drama that Daniel Wu is trying to get them to do. The word is they're going to do a martial arts fantasy drama called Warrior. The synopsis is, quote, in a grounded, contemporary, multicultural, and sometimes magical milieu, a damaged heroine works undercover with physical and spiritual guidance from a mysterious martial arts master to bring down an international crime lord, unquote. That's the official synopsis on NBC, according to the writer on IO9, Rob Ricken. He says, that sounds an awful lot like Legend of Korra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like martial arts. I'll probably check this out. I do have a trailer from a TV show coming out on Sci-Fi, or Sci-Fi. This one may actually get me to watch. It's called The Expanse. It's been described as Game of Thrones in space.
Well, that description sure makes me want to watch it.
Dude, part of the trailer actually has people having sex in zero-G. It's a little freaky.
Huh.
Do you want it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No. The Expanse. No, I've totally been... That's the one I'm reading. It's one of George R.R. Martin's proteges and another author.
It's amazing how I ask if you want a video and all of a sudden everything clicks into place. Like somebody just replugged
Well, I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, that sounds really familiar. And then I'm like, yeah, I just read the first book of that.
Video.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, she's going to bite me. Here you go.
Sorry, I love space and I love Game of Thrones. It's just...
Well, the visuals in it are pretty striking. The first one, that meteor about to hit that ship is...
No, it's Ice Asteroid. Or Ice...
Oh.
Everywhere. In open water, all the way to the
And I think I saw Thomas Jane.
When you spend your whole life living under
Punisher.
even the idea of an ocean is almost impossible to imagine.
The feeling I get from this trailer is very Battlestar, frankly. Which is not a bad thing.
I'm actually getting more of a Farscape vibe.
Yeah. I can definitely feel Farscape.
Like the Farscape feel with the Galactica cinematography.
Well, it's basically it's
a couple days ago, and I'm thoroughly interested.
It's a space opera combined with detective thing. At least that was the book. So I don't know how closely they're going to follow it in this series, but
Ooh. It looks groovy.
So far out into the darkness. I couldn't really.
It looks like something worth my time.
Oh yeah, I'll take a look.
I'm somewhat disappointed, but somewhat intrigued by the fact that they didn't make the colonists with the oddly deformed bodies. I was kind of wondering how they were going to do that, though.
Yeah.
First, you got to get Arnold Schwarzenegger and put the whole thing on Mars.
No, it's more about the lack of gravity or lack of real gravity on the body. Their bodies elongate a bit, so their skulls are longer. All their limbs are a little bit longer, and so forth.
Yeah, you're not going to find that on anything that isn't on a major network.
Yeah.
And
I was kind of like, well, I don't see how they could afford to do that, but I would like to see if they could. But
yeah,
the
but I wanted to.
Cable channels are much lower than TV channels.
Well, I wanted to see Tyrion's nose cut off, but I understand that that's really hard to do. So, Game of Thrones thing. So.
Yeah, I know that. I understand. I think they were probably just looking at it going, well, he's already short. I mean, should we?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how they would do that. Like, logistically, that kind of makeup is just insane.
Yeah,
I would assume.
I couldn't tell you. Okay. We now have Marvel comic news, where we talk about the news of Marvel Comics. Comes out during the period where we actually try to sleep. I've been a fan of Uncanny Avengers since it came out. I'm very curious about this relaunch, where just about every character except for Captain America seems to be a former villain.
Huh.
We went over this, but you may have been gone during that. The new lineup centers around Scarlet Witch and Rogue, but also in it are Quicksilver, Sam Wilson as Captain America, Brother Voodoo, the Vision, Sabretooth, and I think one or two others.
That's...
Everybody but Captain America is a former villain. Every single one of them. And you know how Marvel is when a new series or a new volume of a series comes out? The teasers start going crazy. And there's already 5 of them for this series. The Scarlet Witch's teaser says, and it's all quotes I assume the characters say at some point during the beginning of the series. The Scarlet Witch says, quote, "You can't know how liberating it is to know there is no blood connection between us," unquote. So obviously she spends the first part of the series talking to Magneto at some point.
Yeah. You know what would be even more creepy is if she was saying that to Quicksilver.
The thing is, though, you know how Quicksilver, usually in their relationship, is the more acerbic one? He's the one that says what's on his mind regardless of people's feelings.
Yes.
Mhm.
He's actually the one that's more introspective in his promo. He says, quote, "What if one day you woke up to discover your entire life was a lie," unquote.
That will get you to think a little bit.
Well, Rogue has been taking on more Wolverine-style aspects since the character died. And hers gets downright morose. Quote, "I'm telling you right now, Sugar, this thing is coming to an end," unquote.
Okay.
Brother Voodoo, actually, oddly enough, of the 5 promos that have been put out, Brother Voodoo is the most hopeful one among them. He was resurrected as a result of Axis. Dr. Doom brought him in because they needed an occult specialist. He said, quote, "Come, there are dead to be avenged," unquote.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward, I'd say. And the last one, little stalkery. The Vision says to someone at the beginning of the series, quote, "It is a poor Eve that does not know her Adam," unquote.
Wonder who he's talking to.
Well, he hates his ex-wife, the Scarlet Witch, so I have no idea who the fuck he's talking to. I hope he's not talking to Sabretooth. That could get awkward. But that's not the only series getting a new #1 soon. According to Marvel Comics, there's a new Uncanny Avengers series coming, and the central figure of that one is going to be the Black Bolt.
Okay.
Yeah, the Queen Medusa is at the center of the current Inhumans series, which, as far as I understand, is not doing well. But the Black Bolt himself is going to be the center of the Uncanny Inhumans, which is going to be a little more episodic and adventuring, whereas the Inhumans main series is more about rebuilding their empire. And also, there's going to be some... the first villain of Uncanny Inhumans is going to be Kang the Conqueror, so time travel's coming.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Fun.
Might as well just call him X-Men. Marvel Comics also announced that Doctor Strange is getting a new ongoing series, probably ahead of his new movie coming. Not only that, though, a character I didn't expect to is getting a regular series. Is anybody keeping track of the Spider-Verse?
No.
Vaguely.
It's a strange tale where the Spider-Men across the multiverse are being hunted by some marauding villains.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to kill and feed on them all. I think it's energy feeding, not like nom feeding. But one character spinning out of this is actually getting their own series in their home universe. They're not staying in the 616. They're going back to their universe. And starting in February, we're getting Spider-Gwen #1.
Huh.
That's going to be awkward.
Well, I mean, it's not like she's sticking around, so in her universe, she is Spider-Man.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's going back to her home universe, and then there's going to be a book following her adventures.
Okay.
As a punk rocker. She's a drummer in her universe. I don't ask questions. In April, though, one series is coming to an end with a 250th issue. Although technically it's his 45th issue of this current volume, Deadpool's story is coming to an end.
Really?
Like I said, by the time April comes around, it should be the 45th issue of his series, but he's getting a 250th special. And they say at the end of the series, he's going to be killed.
Okay.
Take that with a grain of salt, because I've been a Deadpool fan for a while, and every time one of his series ends, he's killed. Every time. We're talking about a guy who regenerates so quickly his decapitated head can be reattached. So
Yeah.
it's highly likely he'll be killed.
He regenerated so fast he was atomized and grew back.
I don't think that's occurred.
Cable, when he came out with Cable the first time around, I guess. He got turned to dust or something, and then he came out of Cable's nose for some reason.
I don't know.
Because Cable didn't
What?
head. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't atomized. Some of his cells latched into Cable's sinus membrane and
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's
he was
why
still
he's able to
technically
use the
alive.
body slide technology, because he's got part of Cable's DNA.
Yep.
Wow.
I think we just blew V's frontal cortex out.
Well, not to mention, in that 6-issue miniseries, he was killed like 4 times. 2 of them were by Cable himself.
But that's also, isn't that also the part of the Deadpool and Cable comics where Deadpool keeps having these weird daydreams about, Cable rubbing coconut oil on him or something?
I don't know.
Pretty sure that occurred.
I don't know.
I remember he had some kind of freaky daydream while he was waking up, and he snapped out of it. They were fighting with, I think they were fighting with Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Then the 4 of them get knocked out. They wake up in a heap, and as they're trying to get off of each other, Deadpool just says, "Please tell me somebody else smells coconut oil." I have a gallery for you guys on Newsarama.
Uh-huh.
It has to do with the Black Vortex, the crossover between, I think it was the X-Men and the Guardians of the Galaxy. It may lead some insight as to what's going on there. If you open up the gallery, the first image is kind of funny because it shows the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they're playing D&D. I see Rocket Raccoon with what appears to be a Dungeon Master guide and a bunch of frustrated people, including Captain Marvel and Star-Lord, sitting around a table full of figurines.
Which
hold
button
on.
am I pressing? The live?
Launch viewer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not working for me.
Oh, I see it. That is totally like some sort of miniatures game. Or
Yeah, and
D&D.
it's
no,
called
there's
something in Goblins.
It's hard to make out there. It almost looks like gators.
it looks like
Or Gatos,
Grittos.
maybe?
I don't know. I need to zoom in on it, and it won't let me do
Ghettos?
it in this format.
Hmm.
I'm sure we'll figure that out eventually. If you click the next arrow, though, you see a picture of Beast in a spacesuit, not anything technically new. The next picture is Drax in a new form. I've never seen him before.
Yeah.
If you click it again, though, it looks like, according to the synopsis on the concept art, Drax the Destroyer is turning into Thanos. Which is kind of a scary idea. But the more I look at this, I see Nebula apparently charged up with some kind of powers to disappear into shadows and shadow teleport. You see Nova, it looks like his armor's gone through an upgrade. Ronan is also looking bigger. I'm starting to think that the idea behind the Black Vortex is that certain characters are going to be accidentally cosmic powered.
Hmm.
Because if you go to, I don't know, the 8th and 9th there, you see what appears to be Beast and Angel, at least, and some unknown third character, all of which appear to be cosmic powered now. Which is a frightening prospect in its own when you consider how mentally damaged the X-Men are. And the next picture is kind of unfortunate because you see a Celestial standing over something.
Oh, crap.
That never ends well. So I'm more curious about it. I don't know if it's going to be a story that's necessarily needs to be told, but I'm now suitably curious to check it out. Bouncing back to Spider-Man news, I assume nobody's read Amazing Spider-Man 12 from last week?
Mm-mm.
No.
It had a page that was said to be possible to break the internet. Hopefully that doesn't mean Spider-Man showing his ass, but I haven't read it yet, but I did read what happened. The new character Silk told Spider-Man to brace himself because in the course of going through the multiverse, Peter Parker finds his Uncle Ben alive.
Oh.
Huh.
I don't know if this is somebody from another dimension, but he has he talks directly to his uncle, or he sees his uncle. The impetus for him becoming a superhero.
What?
Like I said, I don't know if it's going to break the internet, but it's definitely going to cause a lot of people to pick up the next issue. Marvel is starting a new True Believers line, a best of line. This is a way to get people into comics that I have not thought out. They're going to reprint several prominent number ones, including Civil War number 1, X-Men Apocalypse Alpha number 1, House of M number 1, Spider-Man, or Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, Iron Man number 1, Infinity Gauntlet number 1, and you can pick up these issues for $1 each.
Nice. What do they normally go for?
Nowadays, your average comic is somewhere between $2.99 and $3.99 according to the covers. So for $1, you can pick up the first issue to several stories. I imagine that's a way to whet someone's taste and get them to come back and buy the drug later.
Yeah.
First one's free.
Newsarama did say that this is just, or according to the press release on Newsarama, this is just in time for the 2015 Secret Wars story coming in Marvel. So this could be a way of them getting a quick course in how some of these stories started. Not only that, Marvel has said that they are coming up with the announcement to end all announcements on January 20th in New York City. They're having some kind of special announcement revolving around the Secret Wars event. Some people are wondering if this means reboot. I seriously fucking hope not.
Oh god, no.
I hate... if you want to reboot one or two series and it fits within the context of the universe, do it. It's interesting. If you want to pull a New 52, that's a good reason for me to stop reading comics altogether.
Mm.
It is. You're ending my stories. Why should I keep going?
Yeah.
It sounds so soap opera. You're ending my stories. I won't know who gets married.
I've said it before. Comic books are soap operas for nerds. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I thought wrestling was soap opera for nerds.
No, those are soap.
Different.
That's I don't know who watches that. I mean, I don't know the demographic that watches that. I don't know what that's.
I do.
What is it?
I do. Wrestling. It's a male soap opera. It has all the same. It has all the same things of a regular soap opera. You have unknown relatives, mysterious twins, people coming from parts unknown, sex scandals, risque behavior, people in amazingly low amounts of costumes, odd camera filters, oily bodies, mysterious deaths, mysterious resurrections.
I understand.
No meaning whatsoever.
I get it.
I get it.
I'm just saying that I don't think nerds are the group that stereotypically is associated with watching wrestling. Or I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Vicariously through superheroes, it sounds like nerdy to me.
You're actually one of the few people I know of that watches wrestling, unless everyone just doesn't talk about it around me, which would be weird. But
it could be that just not everybody likes to talk about it anymore. It's not exactly pop culture at this moment.
Oh no.
That could be. Okay. Mystery solved. Next.
Am I by myself here?
Do 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 do. I have
a tune.
Plugged
I
in.
have a tune stuck in my head. It's horrible.
What tune? The tune is horrible, or having it stuck in your head is horrible?
It's the tail end of a song. It's something I heard in Rock Band a lot, so I'm not quite sure where.
Oh.
Are you gonna be my girl?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I like that song. I like that song when it came out on the radio, so.
Now that I've hacked what's in my brain, maybe now I can finally purge it.
Good luck.
Sometimes it works.
Yeah.
I often find myself listening to the same song over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It drives other people crazy.
No, here's a good test this. Do you still remember Batman Forever? Or hell, Batman and Robin?
I remember it. Why?
Okay, you haven't. Man, just purging bad shit out of your memory. Apparently doesn't work.
I see you. Everybody. Yeah.
Ribbit.
Yeah, I know that fell flat. We'll move on with DC Comics news, and the first story is kind of weird. Mr. Miracle, a long-standing DC Comics character, has finally made his New 52 debut in New 52 Future's End. And Jeff Johns, the guy who's currently writing the Justice League, has tweeted out some curious pictures of a bunch of Mr. Miracle covers. There's speculation that if he's not just a figure used in the Darkseid War, the upcoming story they have, he might actually make it into the Justice League for the first time. The comics visible in the tweet are Mr. Miracle's 1971 number 2, 1987's Mr. Miracle Special number 1, and 1989's Mr. Miracle number 1. He's one of those characters that's kind of like the Legion of Superheroes. Big cult following, never really managed to sustain his own series too long. He's a character from the planet Apocalypse. He's billed as the ultimate escape artist. You know, he knows how to get out of the various traps.
He's the Houdini of DC.
That's a good way to describe it, but he also married Big Barda, which I guess means he also has the most dilapidated penis in DC.
Ew.
Well, Big Barda is one of those Paragon heroes with super strength and invulnerability.
Uh-huh.
And we've discussed how
Yeah.
that section works. He doesn't do that. He escapes from things, which might be how he keeps his junk in one piece, for all I know.
They don't have any kids, right?
Not that I know of.
There you go.
Probably never escaped her uterus.
Oh my god.
I'm looking at his costume and it's like, have they updated the costume?
I don't know. He doesn't look like a guy who could sneak out of something, does he?
Not with that costume set up. Holy crap.
Well, actually, let me reopen the page real quick. I just closed it, because I think there's a picture that Newsarama.com has of his New 52 debut. Are you looking at the New 52 version, or are you looking at one of the 80s versions?
It's old. It's bright colors.
Well, I'll tell you what.
He can password a Jamaican flag.
Okay, here's the New 52 version. Tell me if you wouldn't notice this guy getting out of your cage.
Sorry, a bit more stylized, but still bright as fuck.
Yeah, Jamaican flag is pretty appropriate.
He looks kind of like the Vision went to a West Hollywood gay pride parade.
Not enough, like, other colors. There needs to be some blue and some pink and purple, maybe.
This might be the fashion statement of Apocalypse, so, eh.
I don't know. He looks like kind of that 1970s cartoon version of an escape artist. You know, some guys are just watching a door, then you hear, yoo-hoo! They turn, and there he is waving, just standing right outside the cage.
Again, a bit more stylized, so it's not as gaudy, but still pretty fucking terrible.
Well, we'll move on before I thoroughly embarrass myself. DC Comics is trying to bring several items back to the Green Arrow comics, which include the character of Mia Dearden, who was the second Speedy in comics, as well as the long-standing, I guess you could say both stereotype and joke of Green Arrow, the boxing glove arrow. You know, the boxing glove arrow is one of those things that in comics, as you're reading it, works really well. As soon as you see anyone try to apply it, fucking no. This does not work, sir. Did you see those DC, those attempts at, like, making DC superhero stuff work between, like, cartoons on the Cartoon Network from last year?
Yeah.
You know, the attempts at Batarang, and then they showed one guy actually fire a boxing glove arrow. The guy hits, like, 3 glass targets from... It looked like about 15 paces, and they say, the boxing glove arrow could work. And I'm looking at that going, don't bullshit me.
It could, at short range.
Yeah, if your enemy is a glass bottle. If all your enemies are Glass Joe, you're in great shape. That was bad bullshit. DC's mega event for next year, Convergence, is coming out. They're showing some new promos that involve characters from all kinds of different universes and different iterations of the characters from DC's not just multiversal history, but general history. And looking at a lot of what's going on and reading some of the synopses, I think I figured out what Convergence is.
What?
Hmm?
Follow me here. It's going to take a little bit of a tangent. We know that they're having this event right now, and it's going to end up at the Blood Moon, which is run by Brainiac, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. One of Brainiac's biggest wins, at least in the pre-52 or the pre-New 52 DC Comics, was the fact that he had the bottle city of Kandor, the last Kryptonian city. He pulled it right off the planet. He shrunk it down in size, put it in a bottle, with a base about the size of a dinner plate, I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
Kept it in ship until Superman liberated, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if Convergence is the next continuation of that theme? Instead of bottling the last cities and last vestiges of certain civilizations, he's bottling the last survivors of different dimensions.
Oh.
Nice.
Which is why all of a sudden you see, like, the pre-New 52 Superman, pregnant Lois Lane, Wally West is the Flash and his kids. Some prior DC heroes. I've heard that Gen 13 is going to be bottled in this series as well. Well, not bottled, but they're going to reappear in this. It's just a guess based on what little I remember from DC Comics, but I think I may have hit the answer here. One of the covers is even called Convergence Titans, which shows the pre-New 52 versions of Donna Troy, Starfire, and Arsenal, with his daughter still apparently alive, who I think died. And they reference in the promo when Arsenal lost his arm and his daughter. So again, it's just a guess, but I think I figured it out. Won't know until it comes out, but I'm pretty sure I got it.
Well, they managed to keep a tight lid on this one this time.
Yeah. And last bit of DC Comics news I have, I think I have to read Deathstroke.
Really?
Yeah, as of late December, just after we took our break, 2 issues of Deathstroke had come out, the new series. The first New 52 version didn't do terribly well. The storyline, as they've revealed it so far, Deathstroke has been de-aged. He's now like a young man. His eyes have been healed. And he's in the midst of a storyline where he's trying to find his kids, Jericho and Rose. And the story also apparently includes his father. I don't know a whole lot beyond that, but I gotta admit, this is a very new take on Deathstroke. The first time he's been in this situation. Usually, by the time he's marauding and everything, he's already lost an eye and he's an older man. I haven't heard reviews about it, but, you know me, different is a good place to start for me.
Yeah.
Don't tell me the same story again.
New 52.
Like most of that shit. We'll move from there to general comic news. First off, IO9 and Rob Bricken was nice enough to start talking about the 2015 slate of comic books coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets into details through April, and afterwards he gets a little generalized, and he has proof that a lot of comic fans are going to be broke in 2015. In January, Marvel is putting out Star Wars Comics #1, their new Star Wars series.
Mm-hmm.
DC is putting out Superman 38, because Superman gets new powers in a new suit. Millennium #1, which is a Frank Black continuation of the TV series on Fox. Stray Bullets comes out in January. The 19th Generation, Conan Red Sonja #1, Ant-Man #1. There's a lot of stuff coming out. In February, the first issue of the Orphan Black comic book based on the BBC series.
Interesting.
Spider-Gwen #1, Darth Vader #1, Curb Stomp #1 from Boom, Harley Quinn's Valentine's Day special, the Black Vortex series from Marvel. March has Frankenstein Underground #1 by Dark Horse, Gem and the Holograms #1 by IDW, the Fox #1 from Archie Comics. Princess Leia #1 comes out in March from Marvel. All new Hawkeye #1 comes out. In April is DC's Convergence, the Rage of Ultron hardcover from Marvel, Archie vs. Predator #1 by Dark Horse, Deadpool 250 by Marvel. In May, there's a special graphic novel coming out. Author Chuck Palahniuk is doing a comic book continuation of Fight Club.
Oh, that's interesting.
The synopsis is Fight Club 2. The narrator has a kid with Maria, but Project Mayhem hasn't finished, and Tyler Durden isn't finished with him, unquote.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Yeah, in May also the Secret Wars comes out. Beyond that is the relaunch of Archie Comics. Dark Horse has the History of Azeroth coming out, World of Warcraft Chronicle. There's a lot of comics coming. A lot of definitive storylines, too. And not helping that is Todd McFarlane. He's announced that there's a new head writer on Spawn.
Really? Who?
Yeah, he's turned to Eisner Award-winning writer Paul Jenkins. It's a complete overhaul of Spawn, launching with the February to March issue Spawn Resurrection #1. Then it transforms into issue 251 of the regular Spawn series. Spawn 250 will also, when that comes out, all 250 issues of Spawn that exist will be released digitally at the same time. That's fucking weird, isn't it? McFarlane said about the writing change, quote, "The frustrating thing over 20 years has been writers regurgitating my own stuff back at me. If you make me look like a dumbass, readers ask, why didn't Todd do this years ago? You're doing your job. Show me some stuff I haven't seen before," unquote.
Huh.
It's not a bad point. Not the best way to say it, but not a bad point.
Have we talked about the new Zorro comic series coming out?
No. I didn't know Zorro was getting a new comic.
I don't know. It was something I heard that Mark Wagner was coming out with another one, but he's teaming. It's a crossover with Django Unchained, and written by Quentin Tarantino, of course.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't know about it.
Yeah. So
I'm about as interested in Tarantino as I am with my next bout of diarrhea.
I don't know. I haven't seen Django Unchained. I haven't seen most of Tarantino's stuff, but I just thought that was kind of unique that they're doing a crossover between Zorro and Django Unchained.
Me neither. That is actually very worthwhile news, in my opinion.
No, it's not bad news. I hadn't heard it. That's all. Something I am looking forward to is that there's a press release that says IDW is going to put out the Empire sequel in print form soon, in April.
IDW?
Remember? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember Empire? It's the miniseries.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I was like, IDW's doing it? Okay.
Yeah, they're putting it out and they're calling it Empire Uprising. It's a continuing story of Golgoth. Basically he's managed to take over the last resisting parts of the world, and I guess he's trying to figure out if this is something he still wants by this time. It's an interesting question because, now that he owns everything, does he still want to do it considering he has no family anymore?
By his own hand.
I know. That's the freakiest part. Mentioned it a couple stories ago, but Gem and the Holograms is coming back in comic book form, and this time they're getting a world tour storyline, it looks like. IDW is putting it out in March. They're putting together a comic series that promises to be truly outrageous.
Really?
I didn't write that shit. Just saying that makes my balls itch, man. But it is being done by Kelly Thompson and Ross Campbell. Though I guess a world tour is an interesting idea for a story. I just don't know if you can keep a series like this going. And again, what do I know? They keep making Archie comics.
Like Way gets away with the shit he does.
Yeah, well, and they're having the Archie comic done by somebody else, the artist that did Saga.
I think so.
So that should be weird.
But that's the relaunch, though. That's the new Archie #1, I think.
Right.
The last bit of general comic news I have. Do you remember a long time ago when we were covering a lot of Kickstarters about a comic series somebody was trying to put out called Stray?
Stray sounds familiar.
It was about a sidekick who suddenly found out his hero was killed, and he was trying to figure out if he makes it
right,
or if he becomes his own hero. It went to. It didn't just get funded; it went to print. Action Lab decided to put it in print.
Oh,
nice.
shit!
And not only that, it tells a lot of stories, including what they consider real-life experiences informed in the storytelling process. The writer of it, Vito De La Sante, actually incorporated some of his own experiences, including the passing of his father and his own difficulties with drug abuse.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, apparently 3 issues are already coming out, and it uses a lot of DC hero allegories in its storytelling. Knowing all that now, I'm kind of curious to pick it up.
Yeah.
Newsarama has a promo image that came out for it. I'll let you take a look, because Stray could easily be a Robin, frankly. He doesn't look much like one, but the story is all there.
Oh my god, they got a cyborg dog.
Oh, come on. Batman has Ace the Bat Hound. I've heard worse.
Yeah, no, this was a fucking cyborg. I'm sold.
Actually, I'll back off that statement. The current Robin has a bat cow. So, I've heard much worse than a cybernetic dog. But the art at least is interesting.
The
I
fact
like what he's doing
that
with the story.
the fact that the guy is holding a baton in the shape of a bone makes it kind of amusing.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. It's a brilliant piece of design work right there, frankly.
Yeah, I have to say, just from this cover, the artwork is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can hunt it down. It looked like a fun... It looked like a series I'd like to try. Okay, we'll move into anime and Japan news from there. Steve, Jesse, and I are heavy anime fans. V fears it, but she doesn't mind talking about it a little.
I do not.
What?
Oh, fine.
Oh, okay. Fear is a strong word. Revile is probably a better word for what she does with anime. But the first story actually doesn't have to do with anime so much as it has to do with movies. The Ghost in the Shell movie is going forward, and Scarlett Johansson is signed on to be the title role in it.
Really?
As Major Motoko Kusanagi.
Really?
Yeah, which means more Scarlett Johansson rear end in spandex.
I'm okay with this.
Yep.
I have no issue with this whatsoever. This does mean that she won't get ice cream for quite a while, though. She goes on some insane training regimens when movies come up that are very physical for her. But, a lot of people give Scarlett Johansson some issues for her acting. I think she's come a long frickin' way.
I have never been not convinced by her characters that I've seen.
I've had roles where I like her, roles where I don't, but frankly, her turn in Winter Soldier, I like that a lot. She showed a lot of attitude in that movie.
Yeah.
So we'll see if she can pull that off. But that's not the only anime news. They released a trailer for a new Ghost in the Shell animated film. And the character designs seem to be harking back to the original Ghost in the Shell.
That's a plus.
Yeah. Do you want it? The trailer's 32 seconds.
Shoot.
Sure.
V's just going to sit back and gnash her teeth a little bit.
Sorry.
Hey, Toho anime special. I gotta say, IT Production is doing some really good work lately. Then again, they could get a pass for like 3 bad series from me just for doing Kill la Kill. You can see the character designs in the major. It definitely is a throwback to the original. The last bit of that trailer where it shows a bunch of duplicates of her body, though, makes me wonder what this story is going to be about. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to watch it, but I'm very curious to know more about it. A movie that's coming out in 2016 that has a trailer that I haven't watched and don't care about personally, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is getting a new movie.
Done. Moving on.
Well, there's no details as to what the movie is about, but it's been stated that the movie is going to be 100% original.
Uh-huh.
It's more fodder for Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridged. I approve.
Well, how about this? The latest Naruto movie, titled Naruto the Last, has made the most revenue of all films in the franchise. It doesn't. The movie has grossed over 1.75 billion yen by the end of December, which is roughly $20 million.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive for an anime movie.
That's pretty good for animated, yeah, or at least Japanese animated. It went past the revenue of Road to Ninja, which premiered in 2012 and generated 1.48 billion yen, which is closer to about 16-17 million. So I'm sure that they're sad that the manga ended, and I'm sure that they're glad that this new manga is coming. This new Naruto manga.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunities there to do more. Also in anime news, there's new episodes being released of Toho Memories of Phantasm. Or new episodes, I should say. I'm still trying to understand what Toho is. I know that they have some anime episodes, but most of it seems to be involved with a game of some sort.
Yeah, it's a shooter.
Oh, really?
Side-scrolling shooter, from what I understand.
I've seen Toho parties, but all I see is a bunch of people, some of them in costumes, sitting around computers and not speaking.
It's supposed to have a pretty good soundtrack and
just be kind of like, I don't know, R-Type or one of those, side-scrolling shooter type.
Okay. One of those things, okay.
But you just pick different girls to act as your jet, or in this case. And it has some kind of storyline revolving each character.
I'm sorry, whenever you say it's a shooter, the first thing I can think about are guys yelling at each other about picking up the sniper rifle and shit. Another anime series is getting a movie. Kyoko no Kanata is getting a movie called I'll Be Here Kahohen. It's a recap film covering the entirety of the first season. Actually, that series is one I wish I kept watching. I saw 2 episodes of it, but I just fell out of it simply because of work and lifestyle. But it's going to arrive in Japanese theaters on March 14th with a second film to debut at a later date. I need to watch that. It's about a ghost hunter who uses her own blood as a weapon. She keeps forming her blood into a giant sword, basically. It's an interesting story, at least from what I picked up. But, a lot of animes are basically the same story. Preteen with special powers meets other preteen with special powers, possible romantic relationship, giant monsters, lots of violence, done.
Okay. Now I don't need to watch any of them ever.
Oh, some of the violence gets pretty epic. And then you get Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, dude, you went low right there.
I've seen Dragon Ball Z abridged, so...
That's mean.
In fact, I've seen it quite a lot, but...
Well, how about this? I have some Anime Japan news that isn't anime for once. Remember we discussed the Attack on Titan escape?
Uh-huh.
They've announced dates and tickets for Los Angeles. They're coming to LA on March 21st, and the tickets are $30 to participate. It's happening at the East LA College. I may try and go just to observe this. I don't want to partake.
I'm not going to travel 4 hours for that.
I know you're not. I'm only traveling about an hour to see it. The Washington Post, though, had an interesting article that they've reprinted, saying that Japan's sexual apathy is endangering the global economy.
Okay.
According to them, there are several statistics from a 2011 report by Japan's Population Center that marks a few things. One, extremely high numbers of Japanese do not find sex appealing. 45% of women and 25% of men ages 16 to 24 are not interested in or despise sexual contact. Number 2, more than half of Japanese are single. 49% of unmarried women and 61% of unmarried men ages 18 to 34 are not in any kind of romantic relationship. 3, in every age group, the percentage of Japanese men and women who are not in romantic relationships have been increasing steadily since the 1990s. 4, about a quarter of Japanese don't want a romantic relationship. 23% of women and 27% of men say they are not interested in any kind of romantic relationship. 5, more than a third of childbearing age Japanese have never had sex. 39% of women and 36% of men ages 18 to 34. That number hasn't actually changed that much over the last decade, but it is unusually high. And 6, the Japanese Population Institute projects that women in their early 20s have a 25% chance of never marrying and a 40% chance of never having kids.
40%.
I have a feeling that this number is starting to be somewhat reflected in America as well.
I don't know. We're hitting a certain level of population density, but people are still having children like it's going out of style here. Over there, though, it seems like a lot of people find different excuses not to engage in romantic relationships or even really...
Yeah, that's a weird part.
The opposite sex.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see an increasing amounts in message boards of anime fans in the U.S. where they start talking a lot about their waifus, and I really hope they're not serious about it.
That they probably are.
There's that possibility, and it bothers me just because, when I was younger, I admit I fantasized a bit about the kind of relationships that are in animes and stuff and those types of characters, but frankly, there's no replacing my wife. At least when I'm an idiot, she can at least tell me I'm an idiot.
Must happen very often.
More often than you think.
I doubt that.
But at the same time, there is There's imagining you're sitting there cuddling on a couch with a character in your DS, but when you're actually sitting there cuddling on the couch with another person, that's a hard feeling to replicate.
Well, that, and not only that, but there is a good deal of research into the psychology of touching, basically, and there is a real human need to be touched. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe a few people don't have that need in general, but
still, though, it's a cultural problem in Japan that's not very well addressed. There's too much. I never thought I'd say this as a video game player, but there's a little too much escapism going on in Japan.
Yeah.
These people need to learn to relate to each other.
I'm reminded of the manga that somebody released addressing that very issue, where they basically took some high school-aged people and just threw them together to force relationships.
That's kind of funny because manga is one of the escapisms I was referring to. So I imagine that when you bought this manga, you open it up and the first page said, "Now put this down and go meet somebody."
Yeah, that would be pretty good. No, it's that's one of the things I have to give manga credit for is a lot of them do a lot of current event satire and so forth. But yeah, as far as actually fixing the problem, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, we'll move off that subject to something a little happier. J-Rocker Miyavi. He's been in the U.S. several times, and it's announced that he's actually going to be on an upcoming episode of Ellen's talk show. Ellen DeGeneres.
There's another Ellen.
Well, I don't know. I don't watch many talk shows during the day, but he will be on Ellen DeGeneres' show as of January 19th, this coming Monday. He's going to perform one of his hit songs and talk about his first time in the big screen. He was in Unbroken, the Angelina Jolie film about World War II POWs in a Japanese camp.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to see that.
He's in that. So that'll be important for most people to note. Not only that, though, there is a vote going on loudwire.com trying to find the most devoted fans of 2014. And there's several bands that are up on the list. You know, Avenged Sevenfold, Black Veil Brides, Judas Priest, Linkin Park, Nickelback, The Petty Reckless, Slipknot, Five Finger Death Punch. The reason why this lands in anime in Japan news is because the last band on this list,
Don't say
X
it.
Japan.
Huh? X Japan?
X Japan.
Okay, I was getting worried.
And you can vote right now on loudwire.com. The current result of the vote, though, really interesting. Because in second place is Black Veil Brides with 34.34% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
The other bands are pulling down somewhere between, 0.5% and about 3%. The leader at this, with 54.24% of the vote, X Japan.
Damn. Nice.
So it's not even close. I think the voting ends on February 3rd, so there's still time to turn it around, though. Last bit of anime in Japan news I have. Oh, man, I love the Japanese at Christmas. They get really inventive about certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Christmas is... I don't know, they have a Christian population, but you never know how certain people will take certain holidays.
Yeah, it's far more commercialized in Japan.
Yeah, I'd say so. You want to see a Japanese Christmas tree in a mall?
Oh, boy.
Sure.
Take a look at this. It represents a Japanese superstar.
Oh, God.
Oh, my.
The reason why they're laughing is because the Christmas tree at a Japanese mall is Godzilla.
Yeah.
It's a tree that's made up to look like Godzilla.
That's
They-
pretty awesome.
They should have had Mothra hovering in the background and one of the little girls dressed up like an angel on Godzilla's head.
Yes!
Well, they couldn't do that. I sent you another URL. They did this instead. It blows smoke. Gojira breathes fire.
Oh, okay. It does have
my.
a Santa hat on. So, we're okay then.
The thing is, though, I don't know if you should put that in a mall in Tokyo. Wouldn't that technically mean everybody should have to leave that mall immediately?
I don't know. There was that one where it's just like, Gojira, Gojira, oh, Gojira, and everybody just goes back to what they're doing.
I think it's an inventive idea, but it's still a little creepy. Right, we'll move from there to Nerd Interest News, which is where we talk about non-comic book related news, but it's those kind of things that, as nerds, we find interesting. Remember we talked, I think 3-4 weeks ago, about how the UN voted to recognize animal culture?
Mm-hmm.
Argentina took that a step further. They now have an orangutan that's a legally recognized non-human person.
Okay. That's awesome,
say that-
actually.
I can't say it any more plainly than that. Animal rights campaigners filed a habeas corpus petition, a document used to challenge the legality of a person's detention or imprisonment, in November on behalf of Sandra. She's a 29-year-old Sumatran orangutan at Buenos Aires Zoo. And the Association of Officials and Lawyers for Animal Rights argued that the ape had sufficient cognitive functions and should not be treated as an object, and the courts actually agreed with them.
I honestly can't believe that happened, because I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So, Sandra is a non-human person, according to the court's ruling.
Huh.
They use the same strategy for legal rights for Tommy, who is a chimpanzee being kept alone in a warehouse, suffering an appeals court defeat. Buenos Aires' decision may not directly determine how the U.S. judges may rule, but it sets a precedent as far as world courts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. We may actually be learning how to work with other animals instead of just lording over them.
Which would be nice.
Wouldn't it? Let's see. Now, this is something I didn't expect. The Detroit Free Press says that 2 planets may lurk beyond Pluto.
What?
Planets or planetoids?
Yeah.
Oh, they're calling it planets. They're not specific as to what they are. According to the study put out by the Smithsonian, there's 2 objects called extreme trans-Neptunian objects, or ETNOs, that are zipping around what they thought was randomly, but are doing so with unusual symmetry.
Huh.
So they think there's 2 objects out there that are actually orbiting the sun. Let's hope they're orbiting the sun in, like, War Worlds Haven't Come or something. According to an astronomer from the Complutense University of Madrid, quote, "We consider the most probable explanation is that other unknown planets exist beyond Neptune and Pluto," unquote.
That's pretty awesome.
It's only a theory at this point, and Earth Sky points at 2 issues. Quote, "First, their proposal goes against the predictions of current models on the formation of the solar system, which state there are no other planets moving in circular orbits beyond Neptune. And second, the study sample of just 13 objects is small," unquote. What do they mean by 13 objects? Do they mean planetoids, including, like, the moon or something?
I have no idea, actually.
Because I think Jupiter has more than 13 objects in its own orbit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the 13 objects must be objects that they were looking at through a microscope or something like that.
I mean, telescope, I assume.
Yeah, yes, telescope.
Okay. Well, I just don't understand why their first issue is that the proposal goes against the predictions of current models in the formation of the solar system. I mean, if we find new planetoids, then obviously that model is flawed to begin with.
Well, people don't. That's just, take comic book readers for example. They don't like fucking change.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth noting, if we actually found new stuff out there, we should look,
Well,
shouldn't we?
Yes,
If they are orbiting the planet in a predictable orbit, they're nothing but ice balls.
Well, I also have to think that the only thing they can be is planetoids, because you couldn't really... I couldn't imagine it being another gas giant or something else like that. The gravity out that far must be pretty minimal.
It could be there could be brown dwarfs, with basically our suns that failed to start. I think Jupiter is almost, or it's basically.
It need to be 10 times more. There need to be 10 times more mass for Jupiter to have become a sun, but it was a possibility.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to break into science fiction here.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about astronomical bodies. Unfortunately, I know too much about Kim Kardashian's astronomical body, but that's a whole other problem.
I'm not sure if astronomical is the word you want to use.
Fat ass is the words I would use, but that's just me. Let's see. Breaking from this before this turns into a complete debate, have you guys ever heard of a photographer named Marko Korosek?
Nope.
No.
Mm-mm.
The man lives out in Slovenia.
Okay.
And he's taken some interesting pictures. After 10 days of snow and high winds and freezing fog, he took some photos which produced some really interesting results.
Pics.
You want an example?
Yes.
Take a look what happens when water particles keep refreezing at a high rate. Look at this. Looks like some kind of frozen hellscape.
Whoa.
Nice.
And I can't link the photos because of the way that his website is set up. Oh, wait. Actually, I do have one other... Oh, no, it won't let me do that.
That's kind of cool.
It is, and the way his stuff is set up, I can't exactly copy-paste for you guys to check the URLs, but here's his gallery. If you go just like a third of the way down the page, he's got several of these photos of stuff that's just been frozen and refrozen.
Oh,
It's creepy as all hell.
that's awesome.
He really likes nature photos.
I like nature photos.
Nature photos are the best. Ooh, he has some really good lightning, too.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, he goes where the weather is shitty and just aims his camera. But the ice just makes the weirdest sculptures. It's worth checking out his page. You can find it at 500px.com/weather-photosnet. Going from there to the other side of nerd interest, there is a minimalist prosthetic that was made from 3D printed titanium.
Titanium? Well, I didn't read the article, but I think I know where you're going with this one.
Well, no, it's not like Iron Man or anything. Take a look. It's just a lattice work, but it's a prosthetic made entirely of titanium from a 3D printer. It's very cool. It's not a single bar either. It actually has the shape of a leg.
Mhm.
Oh, no, this
Oh,
no, I
nice.
came across another article earlier where I think Brandon linked it on Facebook where this 7-year-old got a prosthetic arm, a 3D printed prosthetic arm in the shape of a clone trooper arm.
Yeah, that's not this. This is the man's other leg was scanned via 3D scanner, and then Exoprosthetic used the base of that leg to make a new prosthetic out of titanium form via 3D printer. They admit that the current process has too many steps and is very expensive, but this does make an interesting possibility for basically balanced prosthetics. At least now you can make prosthetics that actually have the shape of the man's other leg, not just gigantic bars or something unwieldy like that.
Right.
So it's an interesting idea. And the Brits sent out a lander to Mars well before the U.S. sent its landers out there.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
It's been lost for an extended period. Can you believe that the U.S. lander accidentally came across Britain's Beagle 2 lander?
Really?
Nice.
They found it completely by accident. How's that for just unusual irony?
They're
I
just like,
assume they
hey
gave
guys,
it back.
look what we found.
Dumb
Could you
luck.
imagine what the techs at NASA were doing that day? Oh my God! Oh, we found evidence of aliens. Oh shit, that's a Union Jack on it. Never mind.
Yeah.
Hey, England, we found something.
You know, and next thing you know, they roll the lander away, and the guy steps out of a blue box and just picks up the lander. But that's not the only unusual find that was made in the last week, though. Archaeologists found an 1882 rifle leaning against a tree in a Nevada desert.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 132-year-old Winchester rifle. It's called the gun that won the West.
Yeah.
It was just propped up against the tree, and as far as anyone can tell, it's probably been sitting there for about a century.
Wow.
The wooden stock is cracked and weathered. The iron is rusted, and it doesn't look like it was recently placed there. It looks like it's just been sitting there in a national park for decades.
Wow.
It's probably not worth a hell of a lot in its current condition, but it's still one of those it's hard to believe they could be left there, but then again, it's a natural park, so it could have been there for a long time and nobody knew it or even came across it until recently.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story
How
behind
weird is that? Yeah, I know. Be interesting if they could track it down, but I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, what's the level of decay on the damn thing?
Yeah. Going back to astronomy. European astronomers used an XMM Newton X-ray space telescope, and they captured a glimpse of a rogue galaxy smashing through other galaxies at 814 miles per second.
Ooh,
Nice.
Pictures. Please send other pictures.
Well, it's sort of. It's all in X-ray, so it's very hard to discern what's going on in there. I sent you a URL for giggles. But what they say is that it's a compact system about 1.4 billion light years away, so it's not like this is an imminent strike on us or anything. and it happened a long time ago, but the Bullet Galaxy weighs about 200 trillion times as much as Earth, traveling at 0.44 the speed of light as it plows through the Able 4067 cluster. This is just a galaxy slamming through other galaxies.
Out of my way.
Pretty much. It's the Amanda Bynes of galaxies. There's a place called Aurum Light Studio. They put together a calendar that I do want, yet don't want, because I don't want to explain this to my kids.
Okay.
No, they put together a superhero calendar, or more specifically, superheroines, but all their costumes are restylized in the forms of splashes.
Huh?
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe. In other words, it looks like their costumes are made by various paint splatter hitting the models.
Didn't I link that to you?
I don't know. I sent the URL. But as you can see, they've got versions of the White Queen, Catwoman, Power Girl, Batgirl, Poison Ivy, all done as if these women were hit with strategic...
splashes.
Yeah, water balloons filled with paint, more or less.
It's really amazing.
It's probably CG to create this kind of effect, but it's very curious the way they did it.
Yeah, it looks like it was using a...
The only problem is this is not something you could display in anything other than your private places, because there's a lot of nipple work here. A lot of nipples, actually.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think you can get the calendar for like $40 via order directly from a website. It's nifty and everything, it's not something I could do. I wouldn't like to explain this to my 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
I especially like the Wonder Woman. It's very interesting. The Mary Jane being covered by the Venet symbiote is kind of creepy, but in the splashes it works very well. Last bit of nerd interest news I have is that two people found an abandoned church for cosplay, and it turned out perfectly.
And
Would you like to know why?
Why?
Because they were cosplaying Zack and Eris from Final Fantasy VII.
Ha ha.
It sent you a URL. The photo was taken by josephchillin.com in 2014.
Wow.
Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
oh, that's
No.
great.
So there's a little bit of a story behind it, but I won't get into it. It's just one of those cases where everything worked out really well.
Yeah.
The only way they could have made that better is if they took out some of the rubble to put those flowers a little bit beneath the floor level.
Yeah.
It's almost like when we found that dilapidated muscle car.
Just about. V, what were you going to say?
I forgot it wasn't important.
Every time you say that, you make me feel bad. Like I'm
No,
skipping you
no,
for some reason.
it literally wasn't important. If it was, I would not have forgotten it. So,
Okay.
fear not.
All right. Then I will assuage my fears. Okay. Our last group of stories is arguably our favorite because it's the what the fuck group of stories. It's those stories across the internet that just make you question what happened on this fucking planet to get us here.
Magic.
The first one started out with a serious what the fuck. There's been a rumor going around because of the Sony email hack.
Mm-hmm.
There have been emails discussing what to do about the James Bond franchise. Daniel Craig doesn't want to do it much more. He feels he's made a run and he wants to move on to other projects. Some of the Sony emails suggested that the next Bond should be Idris Elba.
Okay.
Okay.
Idris Elba is a black man who played Luthor in The Wire. He
Right.
played the Black Captain in Pacific Rim. You know, he's been around.
Right, I remember coming across this.
Okay, I mean, I think that pick would be very interesting. What would you guys say to the first potential black James Bond?
Right on.
I want to see it, to be honest.
I wish I liked the idea better, because my reasons for not liking it are totally shallow.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Rush Limbaugh hates this idea.
Of
Yep,
course he
that's
does.
the article.
He came out on his show and said, quote, James Bond, or, wow, that's probably exactly what he would have said, frankly. But he said, quote, James Bond was invented, created by Ian Fleming, a former spy, MI6, and James Bond is a total concept put together by Ian Fleming. He was white and Scottish, period. That is who James Bond is. But now Sony is suggesting that the next James Bond should be Idris Elba, a black Briton rather than a white from Scotland. But that's not who James Bond is, and I know it's racist to probably even point this out. We have 50 years of white Bonds because Bond is white. Bond was never black. Ian Fleming never created a black Brit to play James Bond. The character was always white. He was always Scottish. He always drank vodka, shaken, not stirred, and all that, unquote.
Well, I think that's the only argument against that could be reasonably made, and it still sucks.
Well, the thing is, there's another website called Americans Against the Tea Party. They ran this story, too, and I clicked on it just to find out what they had to say. They pointed out several things that were bad in Limbaugh's argument. Number one, black Scot people actually do exist. There are black Scots. Mm-hmm. Number two, Roger Moore is English, Pierce Brosnan is Irish, George Lazenby is Australian. So it's not like it's only Scottish people that have been James Bond.
Right.
Number three, casting George Clooney and Kate Hudson to play Barack Obama and Michelle Obama would be like casting John Wayne to play Temujin. Would that be like casting Christopher Lee to play Muhammad Ali Jinnah? Casting the MIT Blackjack team as mostly white and 21. And that's before we get into the stupidity of comparing real people to fictional ones.
I like that last one.
Yeah. And item number four, let's face it, the real reason that this makes Rush feel uncomfortable is because this means there might be a black man on screen sexing up white women.
Whoa!
I think that there should probably be a black or other non-white Bond of some sort.
I don't give a shit who plays it as long as it's an actor.
Yeah, well...
If the person can act, what do I
care?
The
reason I think it should be is, now that we have the argument, it shouldn't... I would be disappointed to see people not embrace it just because someone might. I agree with you. I think it should be based on merit, but...
Yeah. I mean, the only way we're going to find out if it's good is if Idris Elba actually takes a shot, and I hope he does. I think he's got the acting gravitas to make Bond not just tough, but fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hope he gets a chance. Let's see. Next story we have, last time we got together, it was Christmas time, and you know how it is. Everybody buys stuff for each other.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, some people are utter dicks. Okay, when I say, Christmas can bring out the best and worst in people, and unfortunately this Christmas did just that. There are two separate stories of people who bought PlayStation 4s for their significant others or family members, and that's not an easy investment. That's $400 right off the top. $440 if you count taxes. There was one lady who bought a PlayStation 4 bundle from a Denver Walmart, and the employee who gave it to her when he brought it out from the back mentioned that it felt heavy, but the person who bought it, Igor Bakshi, didn't know there was anything different about it. He wasn't planning on opening it. But as he was getting ready to wrap it, he opened the box by accident. The box had 2 bags of aquarium rocks in it.
Oh.
You just want to make sure everything was inside, and when he opened it, he said, "Oh my God!"
Not inside.
Yeah, it turns out it was somebody bought it and returned it the next day, and it didn't return the console. Fortunately for him, the Walmart did believe his story when he mentioned how he came across it, and they did refund his money.
Oh, thank you.
I was afraid that was going to end not that way.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not an isolated problem. In Delano, California, a lady named Sandra Ortiz bought her boyfriend a PlayStation 4. He opened it at Christmas, and he thought it was a joke, because when he opened the box, there were 2 Bibles inside.
Oh, my gosh. It's funny in hindsight.
Yeah. They took their box back to the store, and they also found understanding people who said that something else very similar recently occurred, where a customer opened up their PlayStation 4 box and found a stack of paper.
Damn.
Fucking people, man. I mean, I understand it's expensive and everything, but to do that to people is just evil.
I agree.
I don't think they're...
Somebody's going to open that.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a current trend going on that I am not going to be a part of.
Oh, boy.
I can say this with 100% accuracy. The BBC ran a story about a woman who believes that home fecal transplants can save lives.
No. Oh, I've heard about this.
Why would you transfer someone else's poop inside your colon?
I seem to remember it has some sort of weird benefit in health things, but I always thought it was like a last resort method.
No, this trend is supposedly on the rise in Britain.
Ew.
They bleached their teeth for a while, so...
Well, it's just... one woman claimed that it helped her son feel better. He apparently was sick, and after a fecal transplant, he started to feel better. Something tells me he started to feel better, probably not because he's getting someone else's poop shoved up his butt, probably because he wanted to get off this table and stop people from shoving poop up his butt.
I don't even...
That would make me get up off my chair. No, we're not doing this again. No way.
I don't even know. What the fuck?
It's hard to even make fun of a story this bizarre, isn't it?
Just move along.
Okay, how about a happy what the fuck
Oh,
instead?
that sounds much better.
Okay. Lady named Audra Daniloff. She spent 60 days in the hospital recovering from a rare disease that she had in February 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Her father, though, decided to have her pulled over by a policeman.
Oh, no.
She lives in a small town of Saukville, Wisconsin. He hired the policeman to pull her over. She's 17 years old, and she was driving to school. And the policeman gave her 2 tickets.
To what?
One was a ticket to New York City, and the other was a ticket to see her favorite band.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
Her father thought she had been through a hell of a lot and deserved to pick me up. You know, she missed a significant amount of school, being sick for 2 months in the hospital.
Nice.
But apparently she managed to keep her grades up. She didn't cause a whole lot of significant trouble, so he did his best to help her out.
Aww.
The fact that she kept her grades up during that trauma, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Now, he did go with her to New York to make sure she got there and back okay, but I don't think he stepped in the concert with her. She spent 58 straight days at the Children's Hospital of Wisconsin after being diagnosed with an immune disorder called hemophilagic lymphohistiocytosis. Lymphohistiocytosis. She'd been in and out of the hospital ever since.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a blood disorder, so yeah, those are always nasty.
Yeah, well, he did take her to Times Square. He took her to the Empire State Building. You know, the guy did a tremendous job for her, thankfully.
Way
Aww.
to go, man.
Yeah, it's a good story. So, flipping the script a little here. You guys remember at Christmas, the big gaming outages? You know, the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Network were both down during Christmas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Have you ever been so mad you would call a cop over it?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have anyone to call it on, I suppose.
Okay. Well, a 911 operator was thoroughly
Oh,
confused
God.
because somebody in Palm Beach County was called by a teenager. And they put the synopsis of this thing on fucking Twitter. Quote, from the operator, 911, what's your emergency? Do you know what's going on with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox Network being down? No. It's been down since Christmas. I heard they arrested 2 people so far. Last time I checked, that wasn't an emergency. Try going outside or reading a book. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
They
Nice.
actually say that?
I don't, it's in the synopsis they posted here. I don't know if that's what they actually said. Fucking needed to.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that wasn't the only stupid thing emergency services had to do on Christmas. There was a California man who he lives in Riverside, which isn't too far from where I am, actually. It's only about an hour and a half away. They had to get a 35-year-old woman out of his chimney.
Oh my.
Oh.
Turns out it was his ex-girlfriend. A man named Tony Hernandez woke up at 5 a.m. hearing someone crying for help from his chimney, saying, "I'm trapped in the chimney." Apparently he tried to get her out, but it was too hard. She got drunk, wanted to talk to him. He wouldn't talk to her over the phone, so she decided the best way to do this was climb up on his roof, strip down to her nothings, and try and shimmy down the chimney. The result of this is a process that took 23 firemen, and I'm assuming a hammer and a crowbar to break her out of the chimney.
Well,
All I can say to that is, what the serious fuck, people.
Right?
I mean, I'm sitting here going, okay, chimney, pretty insulated, so, you know,
Yeah.
but cold does go down rather than up. Heat's the one that goes up. So,
Well, here's the thing that you're not knowing about this, Steve. That's Riverside. That's desert.
okay. Well,
That's
that
cold
could be
as
worse
fuck.
though, because
Yeah, that'd be damn cold at night.
there's no water in the air
responsibly?
to help. Yeah, I have a feeling she got a little bit of frostbite on some of her nothings.
Extremities, yeah.
You think it's down a nipple, maybe?
It's possible.
There's just there's stupid, and then there's special.
Oh
Stupid.
yeah.
Oh.
This lady is. Would you like some fries with that kind of stupid?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, our next what the fuck is in video form.
Oh.
Yeah, would you like to see the most amazing save I've ever seen from an auto accident involving a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only 38 seconds long. There you go.
Loading.
You'll see the video at the dash cam, probably one of those Russian things. It's pretty common in Russia to use a dash cam to stop people from defrauding you.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Uh, You'll notice about 13 seconds in,
Oh, I saw
there's going to
this.
be a sudden shift by one of the
I
cars.
saw this.
Yeah, watch this.
I think I've seen this.
This man makes the most amazing save of his life.
I don't. What's. Oh.
Oh, no,
Oh!
this is pretty old.
Wow.
I've seen this before.
That's awesome.
Actually, this was published in August of 2014.
Yeah, I know, but I've seen this clip way before. Oh, August? Yeah, that's about the time I saw it. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I don't know what that guy was thinking when his ass landed on top of that car. For those of you that didn't watch the video attached, a man somehow on a motorcycle was just speeding through lanes, thought he got cut off by a car, his bike hit the back of the car, and he ended up doing a full frontal somersault onto the top of the car. The best part was, as the guy was stopping, the guy taking the video just kind of slows down and wonders what happened. You can see the guy sitting on top of the car turn around and go, what the fuck did I get here?
He just starts climbing down.
That was a critical success.
Yes.
That was a 1 followed by a 20. That was a critical fail followed by a critical success.
Yes.
I have an interesting list via IO9 and James Whitbrook.
Shoot.
The story title is How Pokemon is One of the Creepiest Dystopian Societies Ever.
I've seen this article. I didn't bother to skim it.
I read through it, and it actually starts to make sense, which is the most disturbing part.
Oh, boy.
The first paragraph, or the first subtitle after the introduction is, yes, it's basically cockfighting. Well, let's get the most obvious one out of the way here. The core of Pokemon is about wild animals being enslaved and then pitted against each other in violent combat for both fun and profit. Not only are these fights vastly popular spectator sports for the public, but the best Pokemon trainers are held in the highest regard and are lauded with titles and prize money. Sweet little kid dreams of being a Pokemon master when they head out on their adventures. Speaking of which, unquote. The second subtitle is Traditional to Send Preteens on Dangerous Countrywide Treks. Quote, Ash is only 11 or 12. More recent protagonists in the games were aged up to around 14 or 16. When he's sent off on his merry way by his mother to go be a Pokemon trainer, with nothing but the clothes on his back, some Pokeballs, and a Pokedex. He's basically kicked out the house to go not just fight wild animals, and let's bear in mind that there are some legitimately messed up Pokemon out there that in that tall grass, but first across an entire country, arid deserts, active volcanoes, treacherous waters, in a bid to be the very best like no one ever was. If that wasn't bad enough, this is almost seen as a coming-of-age, rite of passage thing in the Pokeverse. The protagonist's parents and other adults throughout the games often fondly recall the days when they too were forced to leave home on a nightmare survivalist trek, unquote. Unfortunately, this is starting to hit kind of on the nose, don't you think?
Yeah, well, I
then
mean,
you realize that they have to scavenge, for themselves at that point.
well, not to mention the fact that let's bring up this certain thing in the title theme song, like no one ever was, which means no one's ever succeeded, but they keep doing it.
Well, actually, according to this, some people did succeed. Listen to the next part of this. City infrastructure is centered solely around Pokemon battles. Quote, it's less obvious in the anime series, but take a look around your average town in the Pokemon games and you come to realize some very odd things. Where are the schools, the hospitals, government buildings, financial institutions. Basic civic planning is worryingly absent from human society, but you can be guaranteed that every town has a Poke Center, a Pokemart, and almost every town a Pokemon gym. The basic needs of the populace don't seem to exist, but if you want a Pokemon battle, you're catered for. You're the only thing catered for, unquote. They're right. I don't remember a whole lot of grocery stores in the game.
Yeah, I don't remember grocery stores either. I do remember hospitals, though. Especially from the anime where they had to... well, no, that was a Poke Center hospital.
Those are all Poke Centers. You don't have an actual hospital to treat humans. How about this? The next part of this. Pokemon champions might actually be the government. Quote, there's the occasional mayor of a town in the TV show, but outside that, there doesn't actually seem to be any governing bodies for each Pokemon region. So who's paying for everything? Who pays for infrastructure and highways between towns? Who plays public sector employees like police officers and Poke Center nurses? More on them in a bit. Considering there's no real government on the show, and considering how every town is set up to cater to Pokemon battles, the most obvious choice is that each region's Elite Four and gym leaders are some sort of regional government, which means people rule based on their Pokemon fighting skill and nothing else. To paraphrase Monty Python, the ability to know when to deploy Squirtle is no basis for a system of government, unquote.
Sounds like the whole, government setup they have in One Piece, honestly.
The thing is, though, the way the writer is framing all this, it's like a plushy version of Mad Max. And he's not even done. The next one is, nobody questions the clone civil servants. Quote, it's a long-running joke in Pokemon that every Poke Center is staffed by a Nurse Joy, or how every police force is made up of Officer Jennies. But never does anyone stop to question how there are so many of them running about. They can't be identical twins, as there's so many of them. Are they clone creations from the original Joy and Jenny? Androids? Ordinary citizens who undergo plastic surgery to become the idealized poster child of their respective industries? No matter which way you slice it, the answer cannot be good, unquote. Brings up a good point.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is also a good point. Pokemon are indentured slaves. Quote, who else is part of the workforce aside from Joy and Jenny? Pokemon, of course. Pokemon are put to task at a variety of jobs. Go-Go's are used as taxi service in Pokemon XY's Lumio City. Chansey's are used as medical assistants. Pokemon are members of the police force. They're used to perform manual labor like Rhyhorns and Machamps. Hell, part of the gym leader, Lieutenant Surge's backstory is that he served in the army, flying fighter planes that use electric Pokemon as a power source, confirming that Pokemon even play a role in the military in at least a support role, if not as active combatants. It's not just that Pokemon are used in this way, it's that even in these jobs, they're never in a position of power. Chansey reports to Nurse Joy, Officer Jenny deputizes Pokemon, construction Pokemon report to her human site manager. And yet, not only do they never get promoted into management, we've never actually seen them get paid either, unquote.
Okay.
They get paid and room and board.
Yeah, this is starting to sound like an awfully frightening world to live in. And how about this? The next part of this, highly advanced technology is used to better humanity and abuse Pokemon. Quote, it's pretty obvious that the human societies of the Poke Nation are very technologically advanced, even beyond ourselves. They have renewable energy sources, who needs fossil fuels when you've got a Pokemon to generate power, commercial-grade holocommunication devices, and the list goes on. But the craziest technology is reserved for basically abusing domesticated Pokemon. As the above video shows, Pokeballs operate by converting a Pokemon, a sentient being, into some sort of digital energy for transportation and storage. Just think about the size of a computer we'd need to store the brain functions of a human, and these things are the size of your palm. But while some fan theories believe that Pokemon stored in Pokeballs or on home PCs, yep, commercially viable computers can store oodles of living Pokemon as digital data, are housed in some sort of Star Trek-esque holodeck to keep them happy, there's evidence to believe that this is not the case, and that Pokemon can still think and react to stimuli while within the confines of a Pokeball. They've been shown communicating with trainers and receiving commands from inside the Pokeball on multiple occasions, which then think about being disembodied and turned into a still active nebulous consciousness inside someone's pocket that seems horrifying, unquote.
Little bit.
And it's still the fact that they can resist and jump out the damn ball if they're choosing sometimes.
Yeah, and you're sitting next to the junk of a 12-year-old kid. Great. The next story, aside from that, the human-Pokemon relationship is completely insane. Quote, so aside from the slavery and technological abuse, the entire spectrum of relationships between humans and Pokemon is absurd. They're beloved pets, work colleagues, although clearly below them in this regard, transportation, sportsmen, even a source of food, all at once. How do you people even begin to comprehend all of that? Well, that's because, unquote. And the next part of this story is that society is indoctrinated to believe Pokemon want this. Quote, yup, despite the messed up nature of humanity's relationship with these powerful creatures, everyone is A-OK with it because from a young age, it's hammered into people that Pokemon just love to serve the human race. In the very first episode of the anime, Ash's Pokedex reads an entry on wild Pokemon that states that wild Pokemon are extremely jealous of their domesticated counterpart. Supposedly, hence why they will still attack a trainer's Pokemon rather than the trainer themselves when you encounter them. So if we take the tradition of sending every young kid out on their own Pokemon journey as a rite of passage, basically every kid is going to be told that by their Pokedex. And why shouldn't they trust it? After all, it tells them so many wonderful factoids about Pokemon, this one must be true too. Scientists like Professor Oak influence all these young kids into thinking Pokemon are eager slaves, and anyone who questions that and wants to see their Pokemon free, like Ed and Team Plasma and Pokemon Black-White, are branded criminals on the same level as actual terrorist groups like Team Rocket or Team Magma and Aqua. But considering all the shit Pokemon have to put up with, maybe they do want it. Or at least over the centuries have come to accept this as a way of life, which is just as chilling a thought to consider as well, unquote. All of a sudden, I don't even want to play the old games anymore. And there's actually one last part of this, and it's all happening under our own noses. Quote, but here's the real kicker. The dystopian nation apparently happily coexists with the rest of our own civilized world. Remember Lieutenant Surge from earlier? Part of his official backstory is that before coming to Kanto, he served in the United States military, and he's referred to as the Lightning American. Another gym leader, Fantina, speaks French as her native tongue. These two characters are the only ones so far with confirmed origins from outside the Poké Nation, but they confirmed that international relationships between the Poké Nation and other countries are good enough to allow immigration, and that the rest of the world is apparently fine with these animal-abusing, technologically advanced nut jobs is incredibly depressing to consider.
Bullshit.
What do you mean? Elaborate. If you're going to yell bullshit, I want to know what you mean.
That the rest of the world's okay with this? No. No way. Peter, I'm not... I believe all those terrorist organizations that, especially the ones from Black and White, it's probably, dang, I can't think of the damn word,
They do have a point, though. It's not like we allow a lot of trade with Cuba, who we saw until recently as an enemy of the state. Iran has very heavy sanctions levied against it. Russia even has issues where we can't even bank there.
Oh, yeah, PETA cells.
But
there we go.
But we will allow citizens to go to this place that, fully enslaves and eats animals.
Well, we kind of do that.
Animals, no less.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Well...
It's crazy. I mean, it's a very long article, and obviously it's a work of fantasy based on a work of fantasy, but at the same time, it brings up a lot of creepy points about how their world works.
Well, and then there's the Pokemon themselves that are essentially natural disasters waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm. If they're not God.
Or aliens.
There's one Pokemon that's God, yeah. Let's move on from there before we think too much about this. There is a story about a boy that was presented with a 3D printed Stormtrooper prosthetic from the 501st Legion.
Yeah, that's what Jesse was talking about.
Yeah, the 501st Legion is a Star Wars fan who dress up in Stormtrooper uniforms. I don't think they're building a Death Star, but I wouldn't put them past them. But they made a 3D printed prosthetic for a young boy who lost his arm, and they presented it to him. They gave him a clone trooper arm.
Nice.
That's pretty badass.
John Peterson presented it to the young boy named Liam on behalf of the 501st. So maybe this kid will go straight down to detention block AA-23 and punch out that annoying princess. And we also have another positive what the fuck here, which is a good one. The Detroit Lions were recently denied a playoff berth by a bad catch in an NFC title game. Oh no, not an NFC title game, just a playoff game. The kid was a Detroit Lions fan who actually went all the way to Cowboy Stadium to watch the game with his family. And they had a fan event outside before the game of musical chairs, right? The prize was a copy of Madden 15 for the PS4.
Oh, nice.
The kid taking part, the Detroit fan, was a 10-year-old named Roman, who played the musical chairs game, and he won. Cool. He was wearing his Detroit jacket. He was a very happy kid.
Oh, cool.
The lady emceeing the event noticed he won, and said, quote, on the microphone, she said, quote, "I'm sorry, I can't have a Lions fan win all by himself," and restarted the last round of the game.
What?
She decided to play it up. I mean, they're at Cowboys Stadium, and she played it up to the Dallas crowd, basically denying this kid the prize. And he had to play the last round again with another fan who happened to be a Cowboys fan. And not only that, she hurled herself at Roman to ensure he didn't win the second try.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's insane.
No. Unfortunately, I am not. There's a YouTube video of the moment. Now, here's the part that makes this interesting. Electronic Arts, the guys who make Madden 15, picked up on this because they saw the story on Deadspin. They sent Roman a PS4, a copy of Madden 15, and a mini Lions helmet autographed by receiver Calvin Johnson.
Yes. Finally,
You know what?
happens.
I'm not a fan of the Cowboys because I think their owner's a dick. Now that I look at this, fuck the Cowboys in general.
Okay, now what was this lady's role? Was she working for the Cowboys, or?
Yeah, she was running the fan event on behalf of Cowboy Stadium, this musical chairs that the winner was supposed to get a copy of Madden 15, and purposefully denied this kid because he's a Lions fan.
Yeah. Fuck that. That
Fuck
bitch
her.
better be fired.
That's some heavy bullshit.
Yep, there's video
He's a
evidence of
10-year-old
it.
kid. Yeah, he's a 10-year-old kid. Who cares who he likes? You know, the kid won the game fair and square. Give him a goddamn game.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And the last bit of what the fuck I have is, you know, I'm an NFL fan. I love football. I think it's an awesome game. Seattle just won their playoff game versus Green Bay earlier today.
Mhm.
You know, congratulations to them. They're going back to the bowl, and from what I'm looking at, they're going to face the Patriots.
God, I hope they win.
You know, I don't understand people. There was a person ahead of the game today in Seattle versus Green Bay. And a city in Washington, Bainbridge Island, issued an executive order banning the possession and consumption of cheese in City Hall.
Cheese ban, yeah.
Just because Green Bay's from Wisconsin and they produce cheese, he said that there cannot be any cheese in City Hall.
Yeah, it was
What?
banning the cheeseheads, type thing.
No, he banned the consumption of all cheese.
I know.
Cheese in general is not allowed in City
I know.
Hall. What the blue fuck? I mean, what the serious blue fuck? Banning cheese? What?
How the hell did that get passed?
It doesn't. That was an executive order, I'm sure.
It was an executive order, but I'll say at the same time, fan, if you're going to do that, I fucking ban Starbucks from this show. Fuck that, man.
The amusing thing is that would affect the vast minority of us, possibly. Because the only person that I know that might drink Starbucks is possibly V. I know the rest of us don't.
Yeah,
they're banning cheese in City Hall. What the hell are they going to fucking serve there?
Right?
Probably Starbucks, frankly.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, since you're just banning it from City Hall, it's like, what are you going to do? Sir, I need to check your sandwich.
That's up there with that idiot during the invasion of Iraq who the French said no, we don't want to be in the coalition of the willing, so he said we're no longer calling it French fries, they're now called freedom fries.
Yeah.
You're a dick too. They're stupid, and then there's monumentally stupid. I wish I didn't end that in such a ragey fashion, but there it is. And the comic this week is a hardcover from 2008. It's just titled Joker. Let me see. It's from Brian Azzarello, and the art was by Lee Bermejo.
Mm-hmm.
What were your initial opinions on this hardcover?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, seriously, you go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, my first impression on it was, maybe this is based off of the movie, because it seemed like they really took the Joker and made him look like the
Heath Ledger.
Joker.
Yeah,
the Joker.
I agree.
That actually was my inference in reading this. I think this was a continuation of the Joker story after the Dark Knight.
Yeah, that's
Except
actually.
there's Two-Face in there.
Well, that's Two-Face is.
Dead.
But he could be resurrected? I don't know.
he was just knocked off a banister. You know, it's not like Batman didn't survive.
Right.
It's not
but
death
did
until you
pretty much
see
say-
the body disintegrated.
Yeah, I was going to say they did pretty much say that he did die in the movie.
Well, they say that, but I know. But the Batman universe is full of false starts and false
True
images.
enough. Well, comics in
So it's
general.
not like he could have been
Yeah.
there. Yeah. I do think this is a continuation of the Joker story from the
Yeah,
movie.
I definitely could hear Heath Ledger's voice in my head as I was reading.
Well, Bermejo made the scar patterns from the movies extremely evident all throughout the storytelling, too. But the thing is, even though it's the Joker hardcover and the character is one of the center features, none of the narration is his. It's all by this third-party character.
Yeah, that no one's ever really heard about before.
Yeah, which was a little off-putting, to say the least.
Well,
Slightly.
Yeah. Listen to his narration. I kind of got lost, but I think it's just because of the lingo he was using.
Yeah, a
Well,
little bit.
I think it's one of those things that's also kind of off-putting is that as much as Gotham, at its best, looked like just about any dilapidated city in America, we keep forgetting that's a Jersey town. DC has made it very, very known that Metropolis is in New York State and Gotham is in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's one of the trappings of the writers is that when a lot of people write characters who are not part of the regular Batman pantheon of characters, they tend to write them as like cheap thugs from a remake of Goodfellas. I mean, we're seeing the same thing in the Gotham TV show. Anybody that isn't sticking around for more than 2 episodes, they talk like, a bad Sopranos episode.
Yeah.
You mean like Fish Mooney?
Yeah.
I was thinking more like half the thugs that get killed by the Penguin, frankly. But, I mean, in reading it, I kind of like the character of Johnny because most of the movies are written from the prospects of either Bruce Wayne or the various villains he encounters. In this one, you have a hardcover that's narrated by this one guy who's observing all this insane shit go down, and while he's working his way up to be the Joker's lieutenant, he still has to admit, this guy is off his fucking rocker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the I've been singled out. I'm on my way to what the fuck did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Yeah, all he offered to do is pick up the Joker from prison, and then he kind of ends up as the Joker's best friend simply because he wastes the guys that he was working for. And what else is a guy going to do? He's suddenly unemployed as a gunfighter. It's not like you can just walk into Walmart and get a job.
It's almost like Bob the Hydra agent.
One of the biggest revelations, though, was probably about a third of the way into the hardcover was the appearance of Harley Quinn in this universe.
Just kind of like she was there. And
I
then
was
she
kind of seeing her, and
hardly-
I was like, "Who is that?" And then I see her walking by, and I was like, "Oh, right."
Well, this isn't like any prior comic book version of Harley Quinn. This isn't the animated version. This isn't the happy, peppy, kind of manic, depressive character. This one is just 100% menace.
And she doesn't say much, if anything.
No, but she was scary. I mean, her first appearance, she's pretending to be a stripper, lures somebody in the back, and 5 minutes later, the guy comes out with no skin.
Yeah.
And she's fucking laughing it up in the background. The joke
I know, carrying a bloody knife. She definitely functioned as more than just a gun mall in this one. She had a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually kind of scary in this book. One thing I did pick up, though, was the odd behavior of Joker, how he actually seemed to be the manic one in the relationship. There were points where he was at highs, and then other points where he was at serious lows.
Yeah, with the gun.
The gun, the crying head in Harley Quinn's lap, and a couple other things.
Yeah, I forgot about the crying.
I was like, what the hell? Yeah.
Well, some people would argue that's, probably one of the worst versions of the Joker you can make, but I found it kind of humanizing, not in the fact that he felt sorry for anything, but I do believe that kind of like the Killing Joke book, there are certain points where you got to look at your life, and even if you can't change your trajectory, you still cannot like where you're going.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it also seemed a little bit too, maybe due to the narrative and the conversations that they had, but I kind of got the idea that there was a lot of stuff going on in Joker's head that other people just weren't getting, but it really did kind of seem like he was drawing these conclusions or these, his actions did make sense at least to him,
and that there might have been some reason for them, but at the same time, yeah, to anybody else looking on, it was like, no, this guy is certifiable.
He may even be a little frustrated by his inability to
convey
that to other people. Like it's so obvious. How can you not? How can you not see this?
Yeah, I have to say the writing in this, the images and everything else was all quite disturbing, but the writing was top notch.
The panel, it wasn't just the writing. The panel direction and the art by Bermejo were very good as well, because it's like you said, the Joker is unable to express his frustrations verbally as to what's going on with his life. But the one thing you get across in the subtext is all those frustrations are what's coming out physically. Mm-hmm. There's the scene on page 77 where Johnny, the main narrator of the story, comes in late, and the Joker just looks at him and says, "You're late." And he says, "Is that a problem?" The Joker kicks him right in the nads and says, Johnny, I don't have any problems. None at all. Zip, zilch, nada, unless... Wait, are you saying you're my problem? And he suddenly sticks a 45 like right to the side of his head.
But the other interesting, because he said that, and that's exactly what Croc had said earlier. Mm-hmm. And Croc, it was just it's a laugh it off type thing. He says the same thing, and bam, kicked in the nads, and death threats. And then he's just like, "No, man, I was just joking." And he's like, "Oh, then I'm joking too." It's like, whoa.
I know. In difference to the Killing Joke, I know that none of us really liked it, and I don't know if it was due to the age, but this one, the way it comes across, the whole package, the way it's written, the way it's drawn, the way it's directed, and the characterization, this seems like a really fleshed out idea. All the characters are deep, even if they're not like the comic book stereotypes you're used to. I mean, the Riddler looks like he's half a step away from being Stephen Hawking, frankly.
I'm not sure I entirely agree. As I was reading along, I kept being taken out of the story by like, oh, this is what they're trying to portray now, and this is the artsy thing they're doing now, and this is the depth here, and it's just, I don't know, maybe it was the fact that it was narrating, so I just sort of went into this whole sort of methodical mode, but it felt less, like, I agree, the characters are all deep and whatnot, but it felt more like, I guess I was looking for a plot, and there wasn't really a plot per se.
I took it more as a moral. It seemed more of a be careful what you wish for type thing.
I could see that.
I don't know if I'm just stupid or my poor reading comprehension is kicking in or something. Like, I don't like the fact that they can't humanize Joker, to be honest. And as for the subplot you're picking up, Steve, I think I'm just too dumb to get it.
I don't think they humanized him by much. I think that Steve is really onto something there, because the main impetus of this is that it's the weakness of a lot of the sub-characters in Gotham that you never really see into the brains of, and this is one of the few views you get into the, I guess you could say, the average lieutenant or the average, like, minion level class of a lot of Batman's villains. And they're so close to what's wrong, they can't really see it. Johnny is so excited following the Joker through his escapades and getting more and more power as things go along. He can't see that this is the guy that's going to lead him to an inevitable doom because he's so busy enjoying the highs.
Well, and the fact that it was even pointed out to him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He said, he's going to get you killed, whether he pulls the trigger or not.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't see it coming. Because, again, he saw all the good things this was bringing, and he thought it outweighed all the bad things.
I don't...
And it just
until it got to a certain point, and he's just like, now I'm totally in over my head, but there's no way back.
Mm-hmm.
So I might as well truck forward.
Yep.
Yeah, and it did end up costing him at the end. Spoilers to everybody, but Johnny didn't... Johnny basically lived to the end of the book, and that was it.
Well, I don't know if he died or
His
not.
story was done.
Yeah, it made it very vague. I wasn't sure what was going on with that last panel there.
I mean, he got a cheek blown out. He took 2 rounds to
that's what
the
happened.
upper body, but more towards the shoulders than any vital organs.
Well, actually, if you take a look at the last page on 125, there's that wide bridge scene where they're fighting.
Uh-huh.
There's a body falling off the
Oh
bridge.
yeah, I noticed that.
Okay.
I wasn't sure
In
if that was
case,
Joker or him. If
No, I'm sure that's him.
well, my thought was if that was the Joker, then I think they kind of tailored him to kind of take over.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because to me, it makes no narrative sense to have a character that doesn't live describing the story. Doesn't live, doesn't tell his story, and doesn't write it down anywhere describing the story. That
Yeah, because
makes
if he
no
dies,
sense.
what was the point of the character?
And,
I
Sorry,
took
what
it all
was the
kind of
story?
as-
The lesson.
what was, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it
I
would.
took it all as kind of an American Beauty flashback. You know, he's having the last moments of his life and trying to remember how he got to where he got.
Yeah, I guess I feel like that. I feel like I understand that more in a video setting than I do in text, because in text, I guess I'm just expecting, well, this is coming from someone it's hard to explain. It makes sense in my head, but I'm having trouble.
Right. Well, I mean, it kind of brings to mind Kick-Ass, where he's sitting there talking about it, and he's like, and for all of you that are saying, oh, yeah, I'm narrating this, so you obviously survived, fuck you, you know? It's
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you know, you're really kind of trying to meta phase it, you know, by saying, oh, yeah, well, he's narrating it, so he's going to survive, but then he doesn't, and you're like, wait, what? So, but I just took it more of a moral or a lesson, and it's just like, you know, this is what happens when you aim too high, or try to go about it the wrong way in any case. But in Gotham, is there really a right way?
No.
Yes, there is. Call the moving truck. That's the right way.
There's got to be like a fountain of youth or something in Gotham, which is why everyone wants to stay there.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be in this town. It's probably a fountain of PCP or something. Because half the people that survive well in this town are whacked out beyond belief.
Well, and I think the majority of Gotham is a slum where they don't have any choice.
Yeah.
See, now we're getting very meta on Gotham.
But I don't know. The most jarring scene to me was the one right after they had their encounter with Two-Face and they grabbed the dude's wife or ex-wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was sitting there confused, and I'm sitting there going, okay, I think that's Johnny. No, that's Joker. Why the hell? What? Oh shit, he's doing up his pants. Okay.
Oh, I missed that. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that one.
Yeah, because he was saying however much it was worth is how much to give the money, and I'm like, I'm trying to reason that sentence out with like, oh, so however much Johnny saving his life was worth, because he says, oh, this makes us even, but then I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? And then I noticed the Joker was doing up his pants, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said, the series is not full of a lot of blatant tropes like you find in your average 22-page comic book. Maybe because it was a single hardcover story at 122 pages. They took their time trying to tell the story.
Yeah.
But
I
enjoyed it a surprising amount.
was confused by, well, like, I didn't understand the point of Harley Quinn's presence when she was, like, not even... She killed things in that.
She's supposed to be I think she's supposed to be the confidant for Joker when no one's looking.
Okay, I guess.
Both a confidant and instead of just a joyous foil for the character, she seems to be his primary enforcer.
Yeah, Croc was the muscle. Harley was the one you didn't see coming.
Yeah. She's the one that pulled the job just because she was a pretty face, which probably allowed her to walk into a lot of places where Croc couldn't go.
Yeah. Or in a monkey suit.
Yeah, that was a scene I really liked.
That was fun.
I was like, there's a gorilla in the back. That must be important. Next scene.
That's like the thought process. There's a gorilla there. That must be important for some reason.
And a spray of bullets.
Oh, so on page 110, the Joker apparently, like, confesses something to... Or says
Two-Face.
something... to Two-Face?
Yeah, wasn't it where he whispered it?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I pull up the...
Oh, actually, Croc wasn't in the monkey suit. That was
Yeah,
Flynn.
no. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
When in the monkey suit.
Okay.
One
But yeah,
second,
I'm pretty
pull it
sure
up.
the one that she was talking about was... was to Two-Face.
I don't remember that particular scene.
When he bent down, he was like, "You'd think this is, this was about money and."
Let's see, page 110. Wait for it.
Yeah, it's page 101.
101, yeah.
Oh, I must have different page numbers.
Where he bends
something
down and he
that's
whispers,
just
and it's all ... But then when you actually see Harvey painting the bat symbol and calling for Batman, and he says that he figured out a way to kill one of us. And I think that's what he was telling him.
Oh, no, okay, so here's the one I'm talking about. He's talking to Johnny, they're looking out this window, and he's like, I can't think of a worse way to die. And I know all of the bad ways, inside and out. And what I hate more than everything is apologies.
Right.
And then that confession from a man who never confessed. And I'm just, what confession?
That he can't think of any worse way to die than being sorry. Don't apologize. Don't apologize for what you look like. Don't apologize for who you are. Don't apologize for what you do. Do not be sorry.
Basically be a Tea Party member.
Yeah. So I guess that would probably be what I would think is the moral, as you were saying, is don't apologize, actually. Or at least that's his moral.
That's how the Joker lives. His moral, as his story goes on, is that he was a man who wanted to be somebody, and then he thought he was on his way, and found out that, no, it isn't what he thought it was going to be.
There's certain parallels to the story of Johnny and the story throughout Sons of Anarchy. The main character in that story, Jax, he came to the decision in the final episode that there is no way to be both a good man and a good outlaw. If you're one, you have to kill the other. It almost seems like a certain parallel to that type of story here for Johnny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, in a way, you can call it kind of a metamorphosis for Johnny, because I mean, he's a criminal. He's been in jail 5 times. He swore it'd be his last one. He wasn't going to go back.
Mm.
But at the same time, now he's finally got in with Joker. He's getting what he thought he wanted, and then he's lost his wife. He goes back to his apartment. There's a cop there, hassling him and everything, and he leaves and says, I left there scot-free, free as a bird. I'm on my way. And then towards the end of the book, he's just sitting there going, okay, Joker confesses to me, it killed me. I thought I was doing so well, and now I realize how scary and how uncontrollable all of this is, until the very end, where he's, literally he's almost going crazy because, they go in, they bust in on Croc and see him all tied up and everything else, and he just starts laughing. And he starts laughing, and Joker turns around and kicks him down. He got the joke, and Joker punishes him. So, I don't know. This was a very interesting one for me.
Like I said, I enjoyed it. It's not something I could hand to everybody because it has a lot of freaky stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's brutal beyond belief, to the point where the Joker breaks a bottle and uses that to gouge out a man's face. But if you're looking for a different version of Batman, or at least a different view on what Gotham is without the viewpoint of the Batman, you could do a lot worse than this.
Yeah, well, the thing that was kind of interesting to me, too, was Joker gets out, and he's going around and he's doing all this stuff. Batman never shows up until Two-Face kind of calls him in. What was he doing for all this time?
Right?
I don't know. This is another reason why I thought it was the Nolan-verse, because, again, Batman was suddenly a very shitty detective.
Yeah. Or at least it almost seemed like he didn't care. They were
he had to be
doing
convinced to come in.
They were doing this gang war, but it wasn't really affecting the normal people, so, let them kill each other off type thing, and all of a sudden, Two-Face intervenes, says, hey, you need to stop him, and then he shows up and starts doing some shit.
Maybe this was a period where Bane was punching him in the face. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, and that's a very good question. Like I said, I was so busy enjoying the story, I really didn't ask that question.
I can say I wasn't I wasn't pushed away by this story like some of the other things we've read, but it kept me hooked. It kept me to the very end without really boring me. I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just thought it was trying too hard.
Well, it also, I mean, because Joker's got that blood on his face towards the end, and then he shoots Frost, and then you keep going, and now both of them have that bright red blood by the artist on their face, and he just starts saying, that, because you start off with, the description of a disease, and now he actually says, the Joker is the disease, there is no cure, there's just a Batman. As I went back to the final page, and it's like, there is a body falling off the bridge there. So
I think he pretty much came to the conclusion there's no end in sight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably was the only way out of that lifestyle, because when you're in that deep with a definitive psychopath like that, he's not going to let you go if he's still breathing.
Yeah.
And if this is a Nolan verse, it's established that Batman doesn't kill his enemies, so what else he got?
Well, not to mention the fact that, as he said, there is no cure. There is only a Batman, and he's, that isn't
Not
an
so
answer.
much of a cure. He's a Band-Aid.
Right. No, there is no cure at all, just a Batman. Just the stopgap. So, even if being that it is the Nolanverse, the Joker's not going to die. He can't fall upon the tender mercies of Batman.
Yeah. Courts either.
Yeah.
He'd be like a 3-time felon. He'd never get out.
5-time felon. 6 at this point.
Yeah. Like I said, I found it interesting. I couldn't refer this to a lot of people, but if you've got any interest in what Batman does, but you're looking for a different viewpoint, this fills that role very well.
If you just want a story and don't mind some blood and and so forth, I mean, honestly, it's a book about the Joker. You kind of got to expect you're getting into a little bit.
Who knows? Maybe they think it's like the 1970s Joker who just tells bad jokes and looks like a gay Latin pop star.
There's no difference between him, the Riddler, and Toyman. They're all just horribly, horrible bad puns.
Or like Doctor Doom from any Fantastic Four movie.
Ugh.
But, I'd give this to certain people. If you're under the age of 15, fuck. No.
And if you already have this, who the hell gave it to you?
Who let you buy it?
I told my parents it was Batman and they bought it for me. Shit, tell them something else. Alright, I think that's enough. And I had an idea for next week, and it's not one V's gonna like.
Uh-oh. What is it?
It's video.
What is it?
You're gonna hate
What
me.
is it?
After 20 years of release, Cowboy Bebop was put out on Blu-ray recently, so it's kind of topical at this point.
Okay. That's allowable.
I mean, it's not just... It's very popular among certain people who get into anime casually via Adult Swim and everything. But the other question that occurred to me to ask is that this anime is now 2 decades old. With all the changes that have gone on, does it hold up?
Is it still topical?
I mean, is it still a good series? I enjoy rewatching Ranma. Not the best thing that's ever been made.
No, but it was, what started me on anime, so it does hold that little special place in my heart.
But it's also an anime that at least doesn't involve preteens with a sword or something.
True.
So I think it's a good time to check that out.
A guy changing into a chick when he gets hit by cold water.
Look, there's no robots that form into a giant. Okay?
His dad turns into a panda.
I think it's about time to check this out. Just like 4 episodes of it, nothing too long.
Okay.
Any particular ones? Because
I would imagine the first 4.
Yeah, you kind of have to watch. Most of it, you kind of have to watch in order. Some of them you can skip.
Yeah,
it's
but
pretty
V's
linear
also,
story.
From what I've gotten, V's also never seen a lick.
Right.
Of it, so
I think starting.
Well, definitely you're going to have to do at least the first one or two, but then I was thinking about the one where the
I have actually seen the first half of the first episode, as I recall.
okay, but the one with the cowboy, the guy that was the other one that you never wanted to get caught by. That one I think would be good. I kind of want to get V's reaction to that one. And
well, I don't think we can do that because V doesn't know anything about the story, and the first four are a lot of characters.
Well, how far in is it?
It's still pretty early on.
I might be.
But I'd have to go back and I'd have to be able to go back and actually.
I'll tell you what. I'll get as far as I can get with time and whatever, and
okay,
we'll just do it based on that.
Okay. All right. So at least the first four is what I asked.
Okay.
All right. Well, we got a plan for next week then, and Jesse will like it because it doesn't involve reading.
The introduction of Ed. That would be another one I recommend.
Yeah.
All right. I think we need to get going though. It's getting late.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the last show we did, where the CWF just kind of made monkeys out of all of us. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this year takes us. Thank you very much. Have a great one. I am Jeremy.
Steve?
Jesse.
And V.
Have a good one. Don't jerk and drive. See you later.
Again? Really?
He warned you. He warned you. He thought it was going to turn into a thing.
It is a thing. I like it.
I know. I adore it. It's a good message to give. Don't do that and drive, kids. It makes the wheels sticky.